babaero kunana na di damag ngem awan met dagiti nakairamramanan na krimen malaksit ti pan nakatiliw na idi 2024 to gapukano iti illegal nga droga dagiti ti kunana ilawluwag na nga dailan kalabos ket adda ti mawag ken kuana nga agnagan partner ti Nelly dati nga live-in partner ti biktima ket may pagarop nga nagpangta daytoy isod gapu na nga atapon na nga dati pakainaigan na daytoy iti pan nakapapatay na daytan partner rimor nga timbaga kinkwana ti timawag ket adda ti kinasarita na nga taga Sanchez Mira nga isu ti mangpasar den ken ni Pilino imbatad na nga binagan namet ti Nelly nga saan nga aramiden daytoy ngem imbatad ti masiknan nga takderan na ti sauna ngem saan nga ipagarup nga kastoy ti mapasamak iti asawa na may nagti daytoy apo kinuna ni Gina nga nakita natin manugang na una nakita ti manugang na ti insidente isot ka po na nga binakal na pa iti botelya ti kotse ti suspect kuna na nga iti namuanda ti napasama ket nagtartaray da nga napan iti nakapasamakan ti pamaltog ket saan da nga pagarup nga ti kotse nga dandani nakadungpar kadakwada ket iso ti nagluganan ti suspect basar apo ti panang describer ti manugang na ti suspect nakasuot ti army green naka black shorts ken medyo nalukmag kabayatan na imbatad na nga nalukatan dati account ti biktima iji Facebook siguro dati yung partner ket dito nga nakita da dagiti chat ti Nelly amay pagrup anang ipangpangta iti daytoy may palagip nga pinaltugan ti suspect tinawindo nga daras ti biktima nga puon ti nakatayan na na-recover dagiti otoridad ti nakapasamakan ti krimen ti may nga fired cartridge case iti kalibre 45 ka may nga deformed metal jacket kenda dumapay nga personal nga kagamitan ti suspect agtuloy matapo tinununag nga investigasyon dagiti otoridad manag tinasao nga pamalto ayan apo napintas mo nga diskutiren partner no daduma niya
aman tagatoy ket jakamo no pabor wenno ko daji maladladit nya daji maladladit ko datoy so daji biktimaan daji babaero kas pagrigan ya daji na napapatay datay lalaki partner niya
wen
ke nay masuspetsa gayem dati nga live-in
partner na
dati nga live-in na
wen dati nga suspetsa
daji suspetsa
ijay di mangibagbaga ti dayjay ket dayjay asawa na
asawa ti
dayjay biktima
aji biktima
wen adda asawa ti biktima dayjay kunana mapapati nga nangarabit ti krimen kontra iti dayjay asawa na nga napaltugan ket dayjay dati nga live-in na ta sigon dito damag akseptar na mag nilakay na kano ket chick boy binalbaliwa lang mo dayjay babaero ti term na
ni kaslada inarama para kanya kaslada inarama na
oo
dati ko dati masuspetsa kalakas niya nay makamukang something like dati makamukan dati mangkwakin ni babaero
narigat mo ti kasi partner tano maminsan na niya in the first place dahil nga ba naga po kapintasan na dahil takder tayo ti pudpud no partner niya numampayhan tayo magpaparis ti kapanunutan na po dahil nga ba nagamin ka nalawag nga kuna naman ka babaero nila kay ko kuna naman awang mo tinararamid na nga krimen malaksid nga isuna ket adre kun daway di nga na tiliw iti illegal nga droga kuna naman iti 2022 apos ket inacceptar naman nga babaero kanon nila kay na ket dayjay ti rigat na partner no daduma ngem nevertheless uri anyaman nga klase partner iti pasamak anya uri anyaman nga klase ti nagbasulan narigat nga sikat ti pakaygapuan ti pakatayan ti maysa nga tao narigat dayjay partner ta dakkel nga basol dayjay isu dayta dayjay kunada nga daytay kunada ke pamapatay kunada dayjay partner kakas jay sabagay naduma-duma mo dayta nga klase adamot iti homicide murder kunada mo dita di ba kita nga nagduduma nga klase dagiti amin ako ket crime against person nga kunada isu daytoy tatte makita gamin dati ke medyo imisaw mabasit ta dayjay kunana nga love triangle motibo ti krimen nga pamaltog iti Lawag City alaket no dayjay nga banaga po niya amuyo hamot nga mabuti may isang relasyon no hang kayo nga agkinawatan Di ba, partner?
Naman ada
Kaya
jay.
ito muna nga banag.
Dari ga mga day pugtugon na jay adati ipres nya na dati ipatom.
Right.
Kana kada kuang ti relasyon. Masapal dati specific ka dahilan. No may pangabit nang naroon data kit love triangle. So dati ko nam data nga may sa kadagito iti makaigapo iti krimen iti talo dagito iti nakagapuan na. So narigat lagi kas jay. Adari mapaspasaba krimen nga direkta kahit po sa unyi direkta gapo ta naglaban da gapo ti kinabartak da kasjay gamda jay at dati may sa nga rason.
Oo. Isira niya po iso nga kapintasan na di jay no kas pagarigan ti sitwasyon nyo apo ket kasta better nga daytay kalmado tayo. Better nga natal na tayo. Let it be nga dayta nga banag apo ket hangay so ti rason tapno makaaramid tayo ti krimen. Kanya tayo apo awan ti perpekto anya. Tada tayo ket tao tayo laeng creation na tayo ni Apo Dios. Awan ti perpekto kanya tayo. Nevertheless, nagbabawi tayo kadagiti basbason tayo. Ni Apo Dios ket makita namet no si pupuso iti maysa nga tao nga agbabawi iti bason na isu na ket si sasagana met nga mamakawan. Isu nga dayjay nga banag apo kastay ko nami manen. Han ko mga isu ti gapo tapno ti kasta pakaaramidan iti krimen wenno pamapatay. May panggep iti daytoy kung natayon nga adaan iti love triangle. Triangle in the sense nga talo. Dayjay tiga puna. So nga dayjay po ti sitwasyon na. Okay, ala nga ruday na po. Awanan tinapatipay nga oras ti programa tayo nga kumpares. Agyaman kami maning kada kayo ti panang tarabayo kada kami. Sapay kumata na ited mi maning kada kayo. Dagiti damag kanisyo sa po nga dagiti met ti mga papektar ti panagbiag tayo tinaldawal daw. Mabalimang nga pangitupingan tayo dagitoy kadagiti banag nga ramiden tayo kadagiti sumarson no gondaway. Kadwami na po nga pumakada iti DCTV Digital TV adalitan ni Jo Marie Habab. Dagiti damdamag kanisyo tayo po manipod nga mismo iti newsroom TTPN ken DCTV. Kadwa kiti angkor.
Oy pagayam mi wag ko na gyamang kami mananapo ti anos yun ang tarabay Nick Baruga.
Jerry Gabaw na po into no bigat isumit lang nga estasyon. Dumanong kami tumanen kadagiti na dayo nga pagtengan nyo babay niti programa tayo Kumpares.
Lernel Auto Supply Furnitures and General Merchandising aglako tinalaka ken di kalidad a piyesa dagiti lugan kas kumay Toyota, Isuzu, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Puso ken Jeep aglako na pa iti amin na klase ti baterya kas kumay ti Motolite, Electron, Stallion ken Inner Strength tapay ti pilid a Goodyear, Gaha, India, Thailand ken China Tires agraman ti interiors da adapay ti mulye ken radiator. Gumatangan pa iti motorcycle parts ken electrical parts at dapat iti aparador, stunted, divider, stroller, double beds ken monoblock chairs at dapat iti piyesa ti Yanmar ken Kubota ken appliances. Masarakan ti main store iti Waigdaya, Quezon City 077-254-0115. Iti Barangay San Jose 077-254-0067. Iti San Juan 077-254-0085. Ken iti Santa Cruz 077-302-0705. Lernel Auto Supply Furnitures and General Merchandising kukuha kanimat matunan. Da Nelson ken Lerma Chowa ken dagitian nakda.
Sama-sama
kapit bisig
at tulong-tulong ang mga Pilipino
para makamit ang iisang hangarin.
Pilipinas na ligtas at malakas.
Humanda ng makilahok sa mas pinatibay na kampanya kontra COVID-19.
Sa booster, edukasyon ng susunod na henerasyon, Pinas Lakas.
Trabaho at hanap buhay, Pinas Lakas. Kalusugan, Pinas Lakas.
Lahat ng komunidad mula Luzon, Visayas hanggang Mindanao, lalong Pinas Lakas pa.
Huwag nang magpahuli, sama-sama tayong babangon muli.
Magpa-booster na para sa Pilipinas na ligtas at malakas. Sabay-sabay sa booster, Pinas Lakas.
welcome to this historic and momentous hosting of the National Hip-Hop Program for the 2024 National Teachers Month celebration in our beloved Candon City. Indeed, hosting this event is an honor for our teachers, and this is the best opportunity for Candon City to express our thanks to our heroes, our teachers, who are in charge of molding our children.
At Congress have taken this mission to heart. And under the 19th Congress, we have enacted RA 11997, otherwise known as the Kabalikat sa Pagtuturo Act. This act grants all public school teachers a teaching allowance in the amount of 5,000 per teacher for school year 2024 to 2025 and 10,000 per teacher for school year 2025 to 2026 and thereafter.
Maragsakan na datoy tata, makakadwak dagitoy agtutubo na datoy tata. So, duwa nga grupo ti datoy tata, one are the scholarship grantees of the CHED's Smart Scholarship Program. Kat, I think there are 95 grantees. Isu dati makaalati 25,000. And that's a new scholarship program nga new program nga naramid ti Congress. So, and the second group nga dati tata are of course our government internship program. Isu dati napili nga for the GIP program. I think they're here for a total of 66 days lang ang trabaho. So in total 26,400 ti maala ti may isa nga GIP for that 3-month period nga naala da dati GIP program.
And so for the last week or so, the Lab for All team went to different municipalities. They went to the municipality of Quirino, municipality of Cervantes, the municipality of Santa Cruz. There were over 3,500 patients that received medical services. Dapat dito sa Candon, pero sabi ko ng Mayor Lilion, sa iba na lang kasi set na daw sila sa Candon.
Libreng laboratorio for all. Libreng konsultasyon for all. At libreng gamot para sa lahat.
Maysa kami nga napili. Ta dakal unay nga tulong daytoy ta libre amin ang laboratory, X-ray and everything, pati dental, and of course the agas.
Nasayat med sir ta natulungan da kami nga marigrigat adumot tinanai paranod na kanyame.
Libreng laboratorio for all. Libreng konsultasyon for all.
Very grateful kami iti opisina ni Congresswoman Christine iti panakay-prioritize ti Quirino. And grateful kami mutlang iti opisina ni First Lady Liza Marcos. Ta syempre siguro amuda nga mas kailangan mi dito ngamin iso nga impayegda dito yan. Considering dayjay ni biyahe ngamin iso nga thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Namin sa inyo pangangalagang pangkalusugan sa bawat isang Pilipino.
And thank you also to especially for the Love for All program spearheaded by our First Lady of the Republic of the Philippines, Luis Araneta Marcos. We thank her na she chose Candon for, and of course, yung Love for All program natin, it started last Thursday, and we thank them na yung medical services at least napadala ulit through the Love for All program.
Una inyag ito ni First Lady na ito yung Love for All. At makita tayo mati kaaduti tattao nga may parati dato yung programa na medical mission kan adu pa digitay other agencies, national agencies nga may makipagtulong pa digiti programa da.
Amo tayo met nga dati nga programa na apo ket adu iti matultulungan na ket naswerte tayo ta ditoy met probinsya ting Ilocos nang rona ditoy syudad ti Candon ti napili da nga aramidan ditoy Love for All. So adumanen iti kaprobinsyan tayo nga matulungan no panggep digito nga serbisyo iti gobyerno.
What began as a dream to create a stage of great music and great moments has now become a cherished tradition.
Sing!
Mahusay.
'Di ba? Kami sinatapakan naman talaga eh. No? 'Di ba? 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 'Di ba
iti amin nga nangkad kadwa. Tinumoy di biyang tapno ti kastada ito nga October 1st tayo ket agparin successful celebration again for our city of Candon.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po. Good night.
Ang pagnanakaw, pangangalakal at pagpili ng bahagi ng power transmission lines ay pinagbabawal ng batas. Bukod sa parusang 20 taon ng pagkakabilanggo at magmumulta ng 50,000 hanggang 100,000. Maaari itong magdulot ng inyong kamatayan kapag nakuryente ka. Ang paalalang ito ay mula po sa NGCP.
Nagado nga kakao, fruits. Nga maperper dita, awa mo tagaramid. Ito tanti naramid ko, magpaaramid at sa dambak ko, ito hindi nga aramid nga may isa. Una na nagyay tablayan. Ay, awanti, dati ko pa organic share, awanti nailalo na no preservatives added kung na yay. How to cook kadalo yay. Pagbalinam nga chocolate. Maminsan ang tarwap ko ma. 9 kilos. And then, they 9 kilos, 4 days. Less than 200 rolls. Ano to ba maka-ison?
Issued deputizing all offices of the regional, provincial, and city prosecutors all over the country to receive applications for compensation. Ginawa po ito para mailapit ang programa sa lahat ng mga victims and qualified beneficiaries of this program all over the country. Noon po kasi, konting-konti lang po yung nare-receive ng board na applications because if the victim is, for example, from Mindanao, kailangan niya pang mag-travel to Manila para lang ma-file or ma-submit yung application sa DOJ main office sa Padre Faura. But with this department circular, all provincial prosecutors, regional prosecutors, and city prosecutors all over the country may receive applications for compensation doon sa lugar na nasasakupan nila. But again, the authority given by the circular to these offices is merely to receive the applications. Once these offices receive the applications, they will forward the same to the board located at the main office, because only the board has the authority to grant or deny these applications. And in line with this, the board capacitates these offices by training their administrative personnel who acts as focal persons for BOC matters. And the fourth function, the board promulgates rules and regulations in order to carry out the objectives of Republic Act 7309. These rules are being periodically reviewed and updated to keep with the demands of times. We will now go to who may file claims. The board categorized who can file claims by, first, the victims themselves. Second, should there be death or incapacity of these victims by their heirs and or by their guardians. Let us now go to the first category. Any person who was unjustly accused, convicted and imprisoned, but subsequently released by virtue of a judgment of acquittal. Under this category, these three must be present. First, the claimant must have been convicted by a trial court. So there must be prior conviction. Second, because of such conviction, the claimant was imprisoned. And third, because of such conviction, the claimant appealed and was eventually acquitted. Let me give you an example for this category. If the claimant was acquitted by the trial court, he may not be qualified under this category as the requirement of prior conviction is absent. This has been the subject of a recent jurisprudence entitled Mohammed versus Office of the Secretary, where the Supreme Court said that prior conviction is required in compensation claims for unjust imprisonment. The Supreme Court had ruled that to be entitled to compensation under Section 3A of Republic Act number 7309, an individual must have been unjustly imprisoned due to a conviction. Aside from these three, the conviction must be unjust, and the eventual acquittal must not be merely based on reasonable doubt. This was the pronouncement of the Supreme Court in the case of Basbasio versus Secretary of Justice. The Supreme Court said that acquittal for lack of proof beyond reasonable doubt does not make the prior conviction unjust. Unjust means with malice, gross ignorance, or gross negligence. So to be qualified under this category, the acquittal of the accused must be based on his innocence and not merely on reasonable doubt. The second category, any person who was unjustly detained and released without being charged. For the longest time, wala po kaming natanggap na application under this category because kailangan po kasi talaga namin ng proof that the claimant was unjustly detained and the authorities eventually released him without being charged. Wala naman po kasi talagang pulis na mag-i-issue ng certification na nag-detain sila ng isang tao tapos hindi nila kinasuhan. Until there was this one claim. Yung application po, si Juan de la Cruz pumunta sa police station to get a police clearance. While at the station, yung police, kung sino yung nilapitan niya at kukuha siya ng police clearance, check the system. So, nung chinek niya yung system, nakita niya merong Juan de la Cruz na merong standing warrant of arrest for physical injuries. So, ang ginawa ni police, hinuli si Juan de la Cruz, ikinulong because of that standing warrant of arrest na nakita niya doon sa system. So si Juan de la Cruz, pumunta ngayon, nag-apply ngayon siya ng clearance from the courts. He was able to secure a clearance from the court where he learned that there is no pending case against him. Ang merong standing warrant of arrest ay si Juan de la Cruz, who has the same first and last name as his name, pero different middle names. He was detained for 8 days, and he filed an application for compensation with the board, and his application was granted. So that's one example po for this category. We will now go to the third category. Any person who is a victim of arbitrary detention by the authorities, as defined in Article 124 of the Revised Penal Code under a final judgment of the court. Under this category po, the victim should file a case for arbitrary detention against the authority who detained him. Because one of the requirements under this category is a final judgment of the court. Under this category, wala pa po kaming natatanggap na application. We will now go to the fourth category, any person who is a victim of violent crime. A crime is considered violent if the imposable penalty is prisión mayor and above, or 6 years and 1 day and above, and included in this category are victims of rape and offenses committed with malice which resulted in death or serious physical injury, psychological injury, permanent incapacity or disability, insanity, abortion, serious trauma, or committed with torture, cruelty, or barbarity. So these are the list of violent crimes: rape, murder, parricide, infanticide, homicide, kidnapping and serious illegal detention, serious physical injuries, sexual abuse under Section 5 of Republic Act Number 7610 or Child Abuse Law, Section 5G, H, and I of Republic Act Number 9262 or the Violence Against Women and Children, trafficking in persons under Republic Act Number 9208 as amended, and online sexual abuse or exploitation of children, and child sexual abuse or exploitation material under Republic Act Number 11930. We also grant applications for compensation of uniformed and military personnel in cases of wounded in action and killed in action. For these two, the wounds or deaths must have been due to causes while they are in action or while doing their official duties or functions. If not, they may not be qualified under this category, but may still claim as victims of violent crime if qualified. Let me give you an example. For example, a police officer was riding his motorcycle on his way to work. As it was raining very hard, the motorcycle slipped and hit his head on a pavement that caused his death. In this example, the police officer is not qualified to claim under KIA or wounded in action because the cause of his death is an accident, even if he was on his way to work. To put it differently, another example, a police officer was riding his motorcycle on his way to work when an unknown suspect shot him on the head and caused his death. The cause of his death was not while on his official duties or functions. Thus, again, he may not file a claim under this category, but he may be a victim of violent crime. Meaning, he can claim for compensation under Republic Act number 7309 as a victim of violent crime, even if he is not qualified under this category. Okay. The following may likewise apply as the law governing them state that they may apply for compensation under Republic Act number 7309. So victims of enforced or involuntary disappearance under Republic Act number 10353, victims of torture under Republic Act number 9745, and victims of terrorism under Republic Act number 11479. In case of death or incapacity of the victim or of any person entitled to compensation, the claim may be filed by his or her heirs in this order. So here po, we follow the rules on succession, and the presence of one excludes all others. So if there is a surviving spouse, the surviving spouse is the priority. In the absence of the surviving spouse, his or her child or children, and in their absence, by his or her natural parents, brothers or sisters. And the application may likewise be filed by their guardian or legal representative in case of minor victims, and they can also execute a special power of attorney to authorize somebody else. So this is the statistical data of the applications filed from year 2022 to October 2025. So pinakamadami po yung rape and sexual assault. Ito naman po yung granted applications from year 2022 to October 2025. And those denied. Okay. So when to file the claims? The application for claim must be filed within 6 months. And these 6 months should be counted from the date of release from imprisonment or detention in cases of unjustly accused and imprisoned, from the date the victim suffered damage or injury for victims of violent crimes, as opposed to date of discovery. Hindi po date of discovery, but the date the victim suffered the damage or injury. For trafficking in persons, o SAEC or CSAM, the date of release or rescue, and in case of enforced or involuntary disappearance, the date they reappeared. There is only one exception to the 6-month period, which is in cases of enforced or involuntary disappearance, wherein the immediate family within the 4th civil degree of consanguinity or affinity of victims of enforced or involuntary disappearance may file the application for compensation at any time prior to the reappearance of the victim. So yes, the 6-month period po dito is not observed. As long as the victim is missing, the family, the immediate family, can file an application. And it is also in this category that there can be 2 claims. First, the claim of the immediate family while the victim is missing. And once the victim reappears, he or she has 6 months from the date of his or her reappearance to file the application. So yung 6-month period will apply to the victim once he reappears. Where to file the claims? In the NCR, the application may be filed sa Board of Claims Secretariat, which is located at the DOJ main office at Padre Faura, Manila, and in the offices of the city prosecutors all over the NCR. If outside the NCR, sa lahat po ng offices ng regional prosecutors, provincial prosecutors, and city prosecutors. Magkano po ba ang ibinibigay ng Board of Claims sa victims? For victims of unjust imprisonment or detention, the compensation is based on the number of months of imprisonment or detention up to 5 years, which is 1,000 pesos for every month of detention, but not to exceed a total of 60,000 pesos, which is equivalent to 5 years. And for all other cases, 10,000 pesos po. This law started in 1982 pa. Kaya po yung amounts, ganito pa talaga. And we have been working really so hard for the possible amendment of this law para ma-increase yung mga amounts na yan. So, only the board, again po, only the board has the authority to grant or deny the applications for compensation. So, if denied, the claimant may file a request for reconsideration within 15 days from receipt of the resolution of the board. Kung mapapansin niyo po, nilagay namin dito, request for reconsideration as opposed to a motion for reconsideration. The board made it simpler para kahit simple letter of reconsideration asking the board to take a look again at their application is already enough. One of the usual reasons for denial is that there are lacking documents attached to the application. So kapag nag-request for reconsideration, letter, tapos i-attach na lang nila yung documents na kulang, and that is already enough to the board. If the request is still denied, the applicant may apply for an appeal to the Secretary of Justice within 15 days from receipt of the resolution of the board. One note, the filing of an application for compensation with the Board of Claims is not a bar to claiming from other government agencies that give financial assistance. Another usual reason po for the denial of the applications are if it's filed out of time. Usually, kapag beyond 6 months, nade-deny na po yung claim. So if the board sees that meritorious naman yung claim, yung application, the board endorses the application to the Commission on Human Rights for possible financial grant. This is by virtue of the Memorandum of Agreement signed by the CHR and the BOC in March 2024. Sorry, I lost my slide. Hindi ko. Here. Okay, sorry. So let's go back. So from 1992 to September 2025, there has been 53,573 approved claims for a total amount paid of 559,433,256.64 pesos. So we're done here. Okay. So let us now go to the policies and guidelines and the evaluation of applications of claims. Ito po yung mga different scenarios that the board encountered in the past applications. So psychological abuse under Republic Act number 9262, that is compensable, but the applicant must attach a psychiatric or psychological certificate or report from a psychiatrist or psychologist that she suffered psychologically due to the abuses committed against her. During our past information dissemination, meron din po kaming mga na-encounter na sinasabi nila that itong psychological certificate or report or psychiatric certificate or report, matagal daw kasi itong makuha. Matagal makuha, mahal. So kapag halimbawa at ang claimant ay nag-file ng case for violation of Republic Act number 9262 and the prosecutor filed the case against the respondent, tinatanggap na po ng board yung resolution na yon because it only means that during the investigation of the case, the prosecutor already determined that the victim already suffered psychological or psychiatric abuse. Rape through carnal knowledge or sexual assault, this is compensable. The amount of compensation to be granted will be per count of the information, provided that the dates of the commission of the offenses fall within 6 months, yung prescriptive period. Hindi po lahat ng cases or violent crimes covered by Republic Act number 7309 ay kailangan mag-file ng case ang victim. We only require yung resolution and information for cases of rape because as we all know, rape can be easily fabricated. So nagre-require po kami ng resolution, preliminary investigation, resolution, and information. Yung information naman po, ginagamit ng board to determine how much can we give the applicant? Because, for example, within the 6-month period, the victim was raped 5 times. The board gives 50,000 pesos to the applicant. Attempted rape is not compensable. Okay. Acts of lasciviousness under Article 336 of the Revised Penal Code, it is also not compensable. Here, the victim is not a minor. There are other cases wherein the prosecutor in the resolution states or charge ng, kunyari, acts of lasciviousness in relation to Section 5B of Republic Act number 7610. It means that the victim is a minor. So even if acts of lasciviousness ang charge, we compensate the victim in this kind of cases. Verbal abuse under Republic Act number 7610, it is also compensable, provided it is supported by a psychological report. Physical abuse under Republic Act number 7610 is likewise compensable. Attempt to commit child prostitution under Section 6 of Republic Act number 7610, it is also compensable. Possession of any form of CISA-M under Section 4R of Republic Act number 11930 is not compensable. Physical abuse under Section 5A of RA 9262 is not compensable. That is, if the accused pulled the victim's clothes, physically assaulted her using an army stick, and required 5 days of medical attention. If the injuries sustained only constitute slight physical injuries, which is punishable by arresto mayor under the Revised Penal Code, the same is not compensable under the Victims' Compensation Program. Okay, so here are the proposed amendments to Republic Act number 7309. The amount of compensation. So for unjust imprisonment and detention, we proposes an increase from 1,000 to 5,000 pesos a month, but not to exceed 300,000 pesos for each claim. 300,000 still represents 5 years of imprisonment. And for all other cases, from 10,000 pesos to 50,000 pesos. As to the period, we likewise proposes an increase from 6 months to 1 year. Let us now go to how to apply under the Victims' Compensation Program. So first is to secure a Board of Claims application form. Where can this application form, saan po makukuha? Sa BOC Secretariat, sa lahat ng prosecution offices, and it can also be downloaded to the DOJ website at doj.gov.ph. After securing the form, this should be filled out and the necessary documents should be attached thereto. After that, it should be brought to the prosecution offices and subscribed and swear in before a prosecutor. Madami pong nagtatanong dito kung bakit daw kailangan prosecutor, bakit hindi notary public. Prosecutor para po libre, so that the administration of the so yung pag-swear in po ay free kaya sa prosecutor, plus yung mga documents na nire-require like birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, lahat naman po talaga yan ay binabayaran ng mga applicants when they secure these documents to the PSA or to wherever government agencies. And because we understand and as much as we want to lessen the expense of the applicants, we do not require the submission of the original copy of these documents anymore. As long as the prosecutors from these prosecution offices verified these documents by comparing the photocopy with the original. So yung mga prosecutors po kasi kung saan sinasubmit yung application, sila yung nagbe-verify ng mga documents na yon. So this is how the application form looks like. So only the important details, so name of applicant, yung usual important details po, date and place of birth, address, telephone number, email address, civil status, name of spouse, name of children, and the IDs presented. If the applicant is a minor or incapacitated, it is important po na mailagay dito sa application form kung sino yung nag-assist sa kanya. Meron pong mga cases na ang victims ay bata. Kung incestuous rape, usually po ang nag-a-assist na sa kanila ay mga social workers, hindi na yung mga magulang nila. So important po na mailagay dito kung ano yung pangalan, kung ano ang relationship nung nag-assist sa victim, their addresses, and their cell phone numbers. Ano pa po ang isang importance nito? Because if the evaluator sees that there are lacking documents doon sa kailangang i-attach, we usually call the applicant or the person who assisted the applicant para po mas mabilis maiparating sa kanila na ito yung kulang at mas mabilis nilang ma-submit yung mga documents na yon. Kailangan din po na i-provide ng applicant kung saan niya gustong kuhanin yung cheque should his or her application be granted. So this check can be claimed from the prosecution offices where they filed the application, or if they want, na gusto nilang pumunta doon sa DOJ main office, pwede din pong doon. And if they have land bank account, the board can also credit the amount of benefit to their land bank account. So it's important po to put the account name and the account number. So usually po, ito yung pinoprovide for land bank accounts para lang ma-avoid yung pagkakamali. Pwedeng i-photocopy but to cover na lang yung CVC. Okay, so there's also a question there if a same application for compensation before any prosecution office has already been filed, because for one instance, there can only be one claim. So dito po makikita if may nakapag-apply na siya sa other prosecution offices. So here is the signature over the printed name of the applicant, and again, the prosecutor to administer the oath. So ano po ang requirements sa pag-file? These are the documents required for all categories: the duly accomplished application form and valid government-issued ID or school ID or barangay certificate with printed picture and signature. For claimants, with special power of attorney, the valid government-issued ID of the grantor, who is the victim or the heir, must also be attached to the application. So these are the sample of the IDs that the board accepts. Ito naman po yung mga requirements to be attached to the form if available at the time of filing. The resolution on inquest or preliminary investigation or the information, again, any valid government-issued ID, and a social case study report. Bakit po nilagay dito na at the time, if available at the time of filing? Ito po ay sa kadahilanan na ang 6-month prescriptive period ay binibilang natin from the time the claimant or the applicant suffers the injury as opposed to from the time of discovery. Yung resolution on inquest or preliminary investigation, minsan po matagal bago matapos. So baka bago matapos, baka lagpas na yung 6-month period. Kaya po nilagay dito na if available at the time of filing, kasi kung hindi pa po available ang resolution at information at the time of filing, pwede na pong i-file ang application form. The submission of the application form tolls the running of the 6-month period. Matitigil po yung pagbilang or pag-andar ng 6 months kapag na-submit na yung form. Kapag na-submit na po ang form, na-raffle na sa evaluators, the evaluators write the prosecution offices concerned para po mag-request ng copies ng resolution and information na ito. Hindi na po ang claimant ang hihingi doon sa prosecution office ng mga resolution na yan. Yung evaluators na. Ang hinihingi na lang po ng evaluators sa claimants na kulang are those that are personal to them. For example, kulang ng birth certificate, kulang ng marriage certificate or IDs, yan po, sinusulatan naman ng board, the applicant himself. Pero other than that, the board writes the prosecution offices concerned. So ito po, usually yung proof of filiation kapag sa heirs. So certificate of live birth, marriage contract, and yung sa certificate of death naman po in case of yung mga namatay na victims. Hindi ko na po i-discuss isa-isa yung required documents. The list of the required documents are listed at the back of the application form. But we would like to emphasize na before, mas madami pa itong requirements na ito. But with the power of the board to promulgate rules and regulations, we conduct periodic review of everything. And one of the products of that reviewing is we try to streamline the documents that we require from the applicants. Like, for example, sa unjustly accused, convicted, and imprisoned, but subsequently released by virtue of a judgment of acquittal. Before, one of the requirements dito is the decision of the trial court. Different pa yon sa decision ng appellate court. But as we review the documents, we dispensed with requiring the decision of the trial court because kapag may decision ng appellate court, it only means na merong decision ang trial court. So, binabawasan paunti-unti basta mahingi lang sa mga claimants yung kailangan talaga. So, here, naka-enumerate po yung mga documents. So with regard naman po dun sa heirs, in case of death or incapacity, the heirs can file the application. Also, for minor victims, their guardians or legal representative may file the application on their behalf. But kailangan ng notarized affidavit or declaration of guardianship supported by a social case study report. Hindi po ito yung legal guardianship na manggagaling sa court, which is more difficult to secure. Notarized affidavit lang po of guardianship is enough. So that's it for the Victims Compensation Program. So these are our contact details. Thank you very much po and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Ascana Santa Maria, for that valuable and inspiring discussion. Your presentation has shed light on the crucial role of victim support in achieving a truly balanced and humane justice system. Again, let's give a round of applause. We now open the floor for questions, comments, and reflections from our participants. We cater maximum of 5 questions for Bureau of Corrections, Board of Pardons and Parole, and Board of Claims. Yes, ma'am? Okay.
Masyadong malayo. Hello? Good afternoon. Yvonne Festejo from the IBP Quezon City Legal Aid Center. Volunteer lawyer po ako. Sa probation kanina, na-call yung attention ko when Sir said na kailangan talaga ng mga probation officer. Nag-handle po ako ng cases all over the Philippines at ang aking expertise is criminal defense. Napansin ko po sa Eastern Visayas, gamit na gamit po yung Community Service Act na kung ang penalty is arresto menor, arresto mayor, mag-apply na lang ng mag-submit ng application for community service sa judge. Ang nagiging problema namin is dahil sa kakulangan ng probation officer, kasi kailangan meron participation ng probation office. Natatagalan. Nakakatulong ng quick dispensation of justice. Yang Community Service Act kasi plea guilty. Nag-plead guilty to a lesser offense, ganyan-ganyan. Para makapasok doon sa, Community Service Act. But, ang nakakabagal is the availability of the probation officers na mag-administer niyan. Kasi even if the barangay captain of the address of the complainant is very much willing and very fast, since kinukulang, actual experience to nare-reset yung hearing because hindi available yung probation officer. So, I recognize yung predicament po ninyo na talagang kinukulang yung probation officer. Sige, 1 pa lang yan. Meron pa pong 2.
Sige, ma'am. Entitled naman kayo kahit hindi lang 5. First, yung participation ho ng probation officer sa isang community service na ginagawa, supervision ho. Yung programs ho would come from the LSWDO or in its absence, yung DSWD. Ngayon ho, ang supervision ho is doon sa probation officer. Magre-report lang ho si social worker doon kay probation officer, and then si probation officer ho ang magmamanifest sa court kung okay ba o hindi. Well, naiintindihan ko ho na hindi ho subject to the scarcity ho, no, nung kakulangan ng mga probation officers, hindi ho agad na aaksyonan. Iti-take note ko ho yung concern ninyo, Eastern Visayas ho.
Yes. I
Sige, ma'am.
believe, medyo bago yung batas. So,
Yes, ma'am.
very few ang nakakaalam na there is such thing as the Community Service Act. So, may mga judges who are confronted with this application for the first time. In my case, kompleto na. Meron ng MSWDO, meron na rin, nandun na sa court yung barangay captain. Hindi ma-implement ng judge, hindi niya ma-approve yung application kasi kailangan nga ng supervision ng probation officer. So, I think, yun nga, more effort na
Yes, ma'am. Again, naiintindihan ko ho, and on behalf of the agency, now we apologize given yung low resource on the manpower ng ahensya, no. Pero rest assured, ma'am, I will take note of your concerns and would get a feedback doon sa concern na region. Sige, ma'am.
Pwede nung mag-move on sa second, probation. Yung mga nag-handle ng BP22 cases now, practicing lawyers, just like me. So very common na sa amin na yung mga convicted, no, would apply for probation. And then, ito yung predicament kasi may civil aspect, no? Yung civil aspect, so may execution na. And then, on the criminal aspect, sa magpro-probation, may mga lawyers na na-overlook and hindi binabantayan talaga yung conditions ng probation. So, pag-uusapan lang doon sa probation office na i-request namin na itakal yun execution or pag-collect of the civil aspect. Pagdating sa report at recommendation ng probation officer, normally, wala sa recommendation, pero nandun sa discussion na parties agree that the civil aspect will be paid in 3 years at 18,000, ganyan-ganyan. At ang nangyayari, hindi tutupad ang accused. Okay? So, pupunta na kami ngayon, magmo-motion na kami to manifestation with motion to revoke.
Ma'am, clarification lang. Yung ho natin, yung sa payment doon sa complainant, nakalagay ho sa conditions ng probation niya?
Wala sa conditions, yun nga na-overlook, pero nasa report, nandun na parties agreed that they would pay this much for a certain period of time.
Ma'am, pagka ganun ho, na nakalagay naman din ho sa discussions and then wala naman hong order, hindi ho included dun sa conditions of probation natin, then wala hong magagawa yung probation officer.
Yun na nga. That's why, pinupoint out ko for the benefit of practitioners like me then. Kasi, while I was standing a hearing in Manila, talagang re-revoke ni judge yung because the probation officer included the payment as one of the conditions. Yung payment, yung agreed upon. So, yan. Kaya I'm saying this is for us practicing lawyers to be mindful also of the conditions stated doon sa order ng judge. Secondly, alimbawa, BP22, may nakalagay, will not commit the same offense. No? Ang tanong ko, like now, nagpatalbog ulit ng mga tseke, iba-ibang tao. Pero hindi pa kami nagsasampa ng kaso. Talbog lang ng mga cheque at saka demand. In-attach ko yun. Plus the affidavit of this mga pinatalbogan ng cheque. Would it suffice?
Ma'am, given na ganyan, actually ho, pagka undergoing ka ng probation, talagang innate ho doon sa conditions niya na you should not violate or commit another crime, regardless kung ano yung nature. So kung katulad ho sa sinabi ninyo na meron hong mga affidavits, ganito, well, you can bring that up doon sa attention ho ng probation officer niya, and he or she may manifest sa court as regards doon sa violation para ho ma-revoke yung probation niya.
Which would bring me to the point. Kasi, ang advice sa akin, mag-file na lang ako ng manifestation with motion to revoke. Kasi we've been constantly coordinating with the probation officer.
Okay, ma'am.
Iba-iba yung approach ninyo eh. Merong probation officer that they would make a report on their own. Meron ang probation officers who would tell us lawyers, gawa po kayo ng manifestation with motion to revoke, and then papag-comment naman kami niyan ng judge. So iba-iba po.
So, yun ma'am. Although iba yung ginawa nila na practice, pero it still produces the same effect eh. Again, ipinapasa po. Si court naman ho ang may discretion yan pagdating sa huli. But the important thing is maibigay sa attention ng court that indeed there was a commission of another offense or a violation of the conditions of his probation.
Last na lang, clarification. So, pag ang condition ng probation says will not commit another offense, so pwedeng nagpatalbog lang ng cheque, hindi kailangan there's a case pending.
Hindi, ma'am. Again, katulad ho nung sinabi ko, kapag ka meron ng knowledge yung probation officer or any similar occurrence na pwedeng ibigay sa attention ng court na merong commission or commission of another crime yung kliyente natin, pwede ho.
Thank you very much.
Salamat, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Doon po sa Board of Correction, may taga BJMP po ba tayo? Wala. Meron pong from BJMP or anyone from the Bureau of Prisons? I just wanted to ask, yung mga prisoners na deaf, how do you give legal aid to deaf prisoners, especially in the appeal stage?
So, hello po, good afternoon. Wala pong BJMP, ma'am. Bucor. Okay, so the question po is, again, pardon, sorry, hindi ko po makita.
Yes, about the deaf prisoners. How are legal services being rendered to the cases? And for example, yung sa appeal stage.
Deaf prisoners?
Deaf.
Deaf. Sorry. Okay. Sa mga ano po namin, meron pong mga sir reformation. Can I, I think it's the reformation. Deaf prisoners. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, sa mga social workers.
Magandang hapon po. Chief Inspector Neil Buot po from Bucor. Doon po sa ating mga death convicts, kasi di po ba... kala ko death. Death, pwede naman pong isulat. At saka allowed naman po ang ating mga councils na bumisita sa NBP. Basta meron lang pong prior request. Opo. Tapos meron din naman po kaming mga na-educate doon ng mga nag-ano ng sign language na tinuruan ng mga school at saka ng TESDA. Meron naman po kaming nasa loob din na siyang nag-i-interpret.
And additionally po, meron din po mga social workers po na nagre-render ng mga free services po sa loob po ng Bureau of Corrections. Any question po?
Due to lack of time po, we will cater one last question. Thank you. From the veterans,
Excuse me po.
one last question po.
From the veterans, I was asked to ask this question. You made mention about the WIA, no, wounded in action and killed in action. Are you referring to the to those people in the active service?
Board of Claims, sir.
The wounded in action and killed in action.
Board of Claims. Ito, si Attorney Santa Maria.
Hello po. Yes.
Are you referring those categories to those who are in the active service?
Yes po, because we observe po kasi yung period.
Okay, the next question is, kasi they will definitely fall into veterans category when they apply, especially those who were completely dishonorable discharged, ano? Yung mga wounded in action. But those who were killed in action, even though they
Already passed.
yeah, where could they claim those in the DOJ or what?
Sa BOC pa din po kung papasok dun sa 6 months. As to kung hindi na po sila magiging qualified sa Victims Compensation Program.
Kasi definitely kasi dito papatak sa amin yan sa veterans eh.
I believe meron pong ibang government agency that will cater to their
Okay. Para ma-disseminate din namin. Kasi hindi alam ng mga surviving spouses eh. Especially those in the far-flung areas. Hindi nila alam yan eh. Ang alam lang nila, in service, from the Army, Marines, they could file their claims. Meron kami established, But this is the first time that I heard that the DOJ is also giving benefits for those who did in action and killed in action.
Yes.
So that's good news for us, sir.
Yan. Thank you very much po. And we hope that you could also help us po to disseminate the information.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, last question po. Sige po, ma'am. Last question, please.
Thank you po.
From? Use your mic po. Mic.
Good afternoon. I'm Attorney Lila Rodriguez from the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Caloocan, Malabon, Navotas Chapter. This is more of a suggestion for the Board of Claims. You mentioned a while ago, SASP, that those who are eligible to claim are people who are unjustly accused, convicted, and imprisoned, but subsequently released by virtue of a judgment of acquittal. What we noticed, ma'am, and in light of the theme of this year's summit, Compassionate Justice for All, and also the realities of trial proceedings, the conviction part is hard. Actually, it's a challenging part here it's a requisite it's difficult to be fulfilled. Why, ma'am? Based on my experience as a defense lawyer, I have a personal experience or a client who's been detained for 17 years. And ang proceeding, and we're still on the defense presentation of the defense evidence. And that time, that's 2022. Imagine I'm still high school during that time they were captured or they were detained, only to find out on 2022 that they were tortured by the police. And there's no conviction yet, ma'am. Until now, the trial is still ongoing. So I think, ma'am, this should also be put into consideration by the Board of Claims as to the proposed amendments to the IRR of the law.
Yes, we would like to thank you for your concern. Actually, etong Victims Compensation Program talaga is administrative lang. As opposed to judicial, mas gusto talaga ng department sana na maibigay yung benefit sa mas madaming tao. Mas madaming claimants, mas madaming victims, maibigay yung benefit sa kanila. But the board kasi is tied to the provisions of Republic Act number 7309. So no matter how we want to maging sobrang lenient sana pa than the ones na pwede namin gawin, hindi namin magawa. So dun sa first category talaga, required kasi talaga by the law that there should be a prior conviction. In fact, there's already a Supreme Court decision that requires prior conviction to be qualified in that category. Well, as to your clients, hopefully, by the time na magkaroon ng, well, number one, syempre sana wag naman siyang makonvict. Right? Mas gusto mo pa rin yun, na wag siyang makonvict. And if ever, sana kung makonvict siya, and mag-file siya ng appeal eventually, maging qualified siya, and sana by that time, na-amend na ang amount ng compensation para naman mas mabigyan naman siya ng hustisya pa.
Thank you, Sas.
Okay.
But I hope that would be also included if ever there's a dialogue for the amendment of the law.
Yes, we will we will take note of that.
Let's give a round of applause. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for all your questions. This truly shows that we are all committed to finding our own little ways to protect our seniors, PWDs, and PDLs. We will now proceed for awarding of plaques. Distinguished guests, honored partners, members of the justice sector, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we would like to acknowledge and give recognition to our speakers who gave their valuable time and knowledge during our sessions today. May we respectfully request our DOJ officials to join us on stage. Undersecretary Margarita N. Gutierrez, Director Vanya Isabel M. Maneja Karazmi, Director General Gregorio Pio Punzalan Katapang Jr., and Chairperson Maria Merceditas Navarro Gutierrez. To formally honor our awardee, allow me to read the citation. This plaque of recognition is awarded to, in grateful recognition of her invaluable contribution, of her knowledge and expertise as a resource speaker for the Justice Summit for Protected Sector 2025. Given this 5th day of November at Hilton Manila Newport World Resort. Signed by Chairperson of the Gender and Development and a Special Protection Office under Secretary Raul T. Vasquez. We invite you to come forward on stage to receive your award. Director Ana Marie C. Kalapit. Active Executive Director 4, Concurrent Director 4, Administrative and Finance Service, National Commission of Senior Citizens. From National Council on Disability Affairs, Attorney Regalette Crizel Ramos, Chief of the Programs Management Division. From Bureau of Corrections, Attorney Kisha Eliza R. Brillo, Chief Persons Deprived of Liberty, Documents and Processing Division. From Board of Pardons and Parole, Chairperson Sergio R. Calizo Jr. From Parole and Probation Administration, OI si Bonnie Mariano Calizo, Officer in Charge, Legal Division. From Board of Claims, Senior Assistant State Prosecutor, Jovian M. Escano Santa Maria. Chief of Operations, Board of Claims. May we invite all key officials for a group photo? Okay na po? Sige po. May we request key officials and awardee with the group photo with the crowd? With the... Okay na po. Sige po. Before we move on to the closing message, we invite everyone to turn their attention to the screen and join us in reliving the highlights of today's meaningful gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present our same-day edit video.
Justice Summit. The theme, Advancing Real Justice for Senior Citizens and Persons with Disability, is not just a professional mandate for me. It is a profound personal call to action. I stand before you today as chairperson of the National Commission of Senior Citizens. And as a proud senior citizen myself, this hat is the most personal of all. It is no longer a role of the theoretical enforcement or high-level investigation. It is my lived reality. It is the reality of my peers, my friends, and the almost 12 million Filipino seniors we are sworn to serve.
Commission, the National Commission of Senior Citizens, was created by the Republic Act 11350. The NCSC implements laws, policies, and programs for senior citizens. In the Philippines, with policy formulation, we are responsible for formulating policies that protect and promote the rights and well-being of senior citizens. With program oversight, we also oversee various programs, including those related to health, rehabilitation, education, and social and economic support. For this morning, I would be focusing on expounding on the concept of disability, understanding disability, because until now, there are still a lot of misconceptions. Kasi pag senior citizen, madali pong intindihin. Once you're 60, you're already a senior citizen. But for persons with disabilities, we don't really easily see if someone has or doesn't have a disability. Disability is not just your condition, but your condition in interaction with environmental factors that cause the disability.
We are here today because we believe that the true measure of a nation's justice system is not how it treats the rich and the powerful, but how it treats the vulnerable. A system that works for senior citizens and persons with disabilities is a system that works.
It is my utmost pleasure to be present to present the Department of Justice program on prison decongestion. These programs are a result of a collective effort made possible through the unwavering support and dedication of my colleagues in the department as well as our partner agencies. This administration has demonstrated its commitment to the welfare of one of the most overlooked sectors in society, our PDLs, or persons deprived of liberty, ensuring that no Filipino is left behind.
Rehabilitation is not a privilege. It is justice fulfilled. Together, we are not just releasing people, we are restoring lives and strengthening justice.
The Board of Pardons and Parole is the only agency of the government that grants parole. Parole is a conditional release of a convicted person who has served the minimum of their sentence.
Ang mandato ho namin is to reintegrate yung mga first-time offenders back into the society and to restore relationships. Diyan ho papasok yung kaninang nasabi na restorative justice.
The Department of Justice is implementing several programs, and one of these programs is the Victims Compensation Program that provides financial assistance to qualified victims of unjust imprisonment or detention and victims of violent crimes.
Let us leave this summit not just with new resolutions, but with a renewed spirit, a spirit of collaboration, a spirit of urgency, and a spirit of profound empathy.
To formally conclude today's summit, may we call on our distinguished guest to deliver the closing remarks. May we call on Director General Gregorio Pio P. Katapang Jr. for the closing message. Let's give a round of applause.
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. First of all, I'd like to greet all the distinguished guests and participants of this summit, with no less than the chairperson and CEO of the National Commission on Senior Citizens, the former Justice, the former Ombudsman of the country, Attorney Maria Merceditas Navarro Gutierrez. Ma'am, thank you for giving the inspirational message. And the other secretaries or undersecretaries of the Department of Justice, the officials of the National Commission on Senior Citizens, the National Council of Disability Affairs, the Board of Pardons and Parole, the Parole and Probation Administration, the Board of Claims, the other partners from the civil society organization, the academe, the fellow public servants, and other fellow public servants. It is truly an honor to stand before you this afternoon as we close this Justice Summit dedicated to the cause of the vulnerable sectors and persons deprived of liberties. First of all, allow me to express the Bureau of Corrections' deepest appreciation to the Department of Justice Action Center, led by the Undersecretary of Justice, Raul Vasquez, and of course, one of the organizers and pillars of this activity, or JOJAC, is Yusek Marz Gutierrez. Thank you for inviting us. To all the organizers and the speakers who made today's dialogue both enlightening and transformative. This gathering, advancing real justice for senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and persons deprived of liberty, is more than a policy forum. It is a reaffirmation of our nation's conscience that true justice must uplift, not isolate, must empower, not condemn, and must reform, not merely restrain. For this morning's sessions, we learned that justice must extend beyond courtrooms. It must reach our elderly who deserve dignity in their later years, our persons with disabilities who must not be defined by their impairments, but by their abilities and rights. This afternoon, our attention turned to another vulnerable sector, the persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs. These are individuals who, though behind bars, remain part of our collective humanity. They too are entitled for fairness, compassion, and opportunities for reform. Through the Bureau of Corrections' presentation of RA 10592, we revisited the spirit of the law to reward genuine reformation with the gift of renewed freedom. The 2024 revised implementing rules and regulation is more than a legal update. They symbolize our ongoing commitment to transparency, consistency, and restorative justice. As we heard from our colleagues from the Board of Pardons and Parole, the Parole and Probation Administration, and the Board of Claims, we recognize that the path to justice extends even beyond confinement as it continues in reformation, rehabilitation, reintegration, and reparation. At the Bureau of Corrections, we believe that corrections is not about walls. It's about people. Our task is not simply to keep them individuals within boundaries, but to help them rediscover their purpose and their place in society. Our modernization and reform agenda, under our modernization and reform agenda, we are transforming the Bureau into a human rights-based, development-driven, and reform-centered institution, one that offers second chances through education, livelihood, skills training, faith programs, and mental support. Our flagship projects such as the Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm Mega Ecozone, the regional prison facilities, and our partnership with the local and international organizations are designed not only to decongest our prisons, but to decentralize opportunities for reformation and reintegration. When we provide livelihoods to PDLs, when we teach them technical skills or help them reconnect with their families, we are not just fulfilling our mandate, we are restoring human dignity. And we prepare them for life behind bars. We are fulfilling the deeper promise of justice, that a person can be transformed and that society can forgive. But we cannot do this alone. The road to a truly humane justice system requires the collective strength of our institutions and the shared compassion of our people. The Justice Summit demonstrates that collaboration works when the DOJ, NSSC, NCDA, Bucor, PPA, BPP, and civil society converge under a single vision. We create not only a network of agencies, but a community of conscience. Each of us plays a vital role in ensuring that no one is left behind by justice. From the elderly who seek protection, to the disabled who need empowerment, to the imprisoned who hope for redemption, every life deserves the law's protection and the society's care. Let us remember that justice at its core is not punitive. It is transformative. It does not end with sentencing. It begins with understanding. It does not divide society between the free and the confined. It binds us together through our shared humanity. As we uphold the principles of human-based justice system, may we continue to be guided by the ideals of fairness, empathy, and accountability. Let us commit to a justice that restores rather than destroys, reforms rather than rejects, and empowers rather than excludes. As we close today's summit, I urge each one of us to take what we have learned beyond these walls to our agencies, to our communities, and our daily service. Let us translate these insights into policies that protect, programs that empower, and systems that truly serve the people. For the Bureau of Corrections, we renew our vow to be a pillar of hope within the justice system, a bureau that not only safeguards but reforms, rehabilitates, and reintegrates. In closing, allow me to echo our shared aspiration that one day justice in the Philippines will no longer be measured by the strength of our laws alone, but the kindness of our institutions, the compassion of our leaders, and the second chances we give to those who seek redemption. Maraming salamat po sa Department of Justice and to all our partners for this opportunity to learn, to collaborate, and to recommit ourselves to the noble cause of justice with a human face. May this summit mark not an end, but a continuing journey toward a just, inclusive, and humane nation. Mabuhay po tayong lahat at maraming salamat po.
Thank you for that closing message, Director General Katapang Jr. As we end this day of meaningful discourse, may we all be reminded that justice is not truly served until it reaches the most vulnerable among us. On behalf of the Department of Justice, we extend our deepest gratitude to all speakers, guests, and participants for your presence and support. May we all continue to uphold justice with compassion, integrity, and hope. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Ket dayjay maited kanyada ket bilang na po dayjay kasla na trabahuan dati 10 days nga minimum wage. So dayjay maawat da so makatulong maten iti kasapulan dati babalay da.
Ladies and gentlemen, Undersecretary Claire Castro, the Palace Press Officer.
Magandang araw, Malacanang Press Corps. Agarang tulong at kalinga ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na ipaabot sa mga sinalanta ng Bagyong Tino. Mabilisang rumisponde ang lahat ng ahensya sa ilalim ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. upang masiguro ang kaligtasan at seguridad ng mga residenteng tinamaan ng Bagyong Tino. Ang Department of Health o DOH sa pangunguna ni Secretary Ted Herbosa ay agad na namahagi ng mga gamot at malinis na inuming tubig, hygiene kits at water containers sa Cebu, Aklan at Eastern Visayas na lubhang tinamaan ng bagyo. Nakabantay din ang ahensya para tugunan ang pangangailangang medikal ng mga residente sa mga apektadong rehiyon sa bansa. Nakamonitor din ang DOH sa panganib ng lahar mula sa Bulkang Kanlaon dahil sa sunod-sunod na pag-ulan dala ng Bagyong Tino. Ang Department of Social Welfare and Development o DSWD naman, sa pangunguna ni Secretary Rex Gatchalian, ay namahagi ng mga family food packs at ready-to-eat food items sa mga sinalanta ng bagyo. Sa ulat ng DSWD, umabot sa 121,988 family food packs at 1,628 ready-to eat food items ang kanilang naipamahagi sa mga apektadong residente sa Calabarzon, Bicol, Western Visayas, Negros Island, Central Visayas, Eastern Visayas at Caraga. Namahagi rin ng tulong ang DSWD sa NCR at Zamboanga. Kabilang na dito ang tulong pinansyal para sa pamilya ng mga naulilang biktima ng Bagyong Tino. Kabilang sa mga nabigyan ng tulong at hot meals ng ahensya, ang mga stranded passengers, drivers at operators sa mga pantalan at terminal sa mga apektadong rehiyon. Pinapunta na rin ng Pangulo ang ilang miyembro ng kabinete upang mamonitor ang kalagayan ng mga residenteng tinamaan ng bagyo. Sa oras ng sakuna, palaging prioridad ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang kapakanan ng taumbayan saan man sa bansa. Makakasama natin ngayong araw si DICT Secretary Henry Aguda upang pag-usapan ng Implementing Rules and Regulations o IRR ng Konektadong Pinoy Act at iba pang paghahanda ng pamahalaan sa posibleng Distributed Denial of Service o DDoS, cyber attacks. Magandang umaga, Secretary Aguda.
Magandang good morning, Yusek Claire, at sa mga kaibigan po natin sa media at sa mga taong bayan po. So, sa ngalan ng Department of Information and Communications Technology, isang mainit na pagbati sa ating mga kababayan saan mang panig ng bansa. Nandito po kami ngayon hindi lang para magbigay linaw sa mga isyong umiikot, especially this week po, kundi para ipaliwanag kung paano kumikilos ang pamahalaan para mapanatiling ligtas, maasahan at bukas ang koneksyon ng bawat Pilipino. Pero unahin ko muna yung nangyari kaninang umaga. Napirmahan na po ang Implementing Rules and Regulation ng Konektadong Pinoy. Ang batas na ito ay priority measure sa ilalim ng Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council o LEDAC at isa sa mga pangunahing direktiba ng Pangulo sa ilalim ng Bagong Pilipinas. Layunin nitong pabilisin ang koneksyon, pababain ang halaga, ibig sabihin dapat mas mura ang service po natin sa internet, at palawakin ang access sa internet, lalo na sa mga lugar na unserved, underserved, at sa mga gidas o geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. Bilang panimula, hayaan niyong balikan natin ang pinagmulan ng Konektadong Pinoy Act po. Noong August 24 po, nitong taon na to, ito po ay naging batas na. At nagkabisa noong September 14, 2025 din. Pagkatapos nito po, inatasan ang DICT kasama ang iba pang mga ahensya ng pamahalaan na buuin na po ang IRR sa loob po ng 90 days. Nagkaroon tayo ng masinsing konsultasyon sa iba't ibang sektor mula sa mga stakeholders consultation sa NCR, sa Cebu, sa Davao, hanggang sa mahigit na 50 position papers po mula sa private and public sector. Ilang workshop din po ang nagawa natin kasama ang tulong ng World Bank po na tumutulong sa atin sa pagbalangkas nitong IRR na to. Ito'y parang tiyakin na ang IRR ay makakatugon sa pangangailangan ng industriya at ng mamamayan. Lahat ng ito ay naglatag na matibay at pundasyon para sa IRR na ating nilagnaan po kaninang umaga. Sa ilalim ng bagong IRR, binubuksan natin ang data transmission industry sa mas maraming qualified players. Ibig sabihin, kung walang congressional franchise, basta pumasa sa ating technical and security standards, maaari nang makapagserbisyo po sila. Ang kagandahan lang po ng IRR, una, bukas at patas ang kompetisyon. Alam niyo po, nung matapos yung millennia, nung late 1900s to early 2000, makita nyo po from landline, from beepers, naging cellphone po tayo. And mabilis po yung arangkada ng ekonomiya natin up to 2010 dahil marami pong telecoms company nag-invest po. Kamakailan po medyo humina po yung investment sa telecoms industry. Kaya ngayon po makakaasa po kayo sa pagkakapasa ng Konektadong Pinoy. Dadami na naman po yung mag-i-invest sa telecoms industry. Ngayon po, kasabay nito, nais ko ring ibahagi sa ating mga kababayan, may follow-through action na po si DICT. Nakipag-ugnayan po kami sa Australian Embassy, sa Australian Government, at gumawa po sila ng isang magandang proyekto. Kasama po dyan yung mga tao natin sa DICT at mga telecoms company po. Namapa na po namin ang lahat ng fiber optic sa buong bansa. Ito po'y kakaiba. Kasi imbis na humingi kami ng report sa mga telco kung nasaan yung mga fiber optic tahanan sa buong bansa, isang mahalagang hakbang tungo sa layunin ng ating Pangulo na mabigyan bawat Pilipino ng mabilis, matatag, at maaasahang koneksyon. Ngayon po naman, siguro alam niyo na yung November 5 na date. Ang DICT po, kasama yung mga telecoms, companies, tsaka mga cyber practitioner, nag-usap-usap po kami noong Undas. Sinabi namin, it's better safe than sorry. Mag-alert na po tayo ng mga kababayan natin. Gusto kong linawin po, ang DDoS ay hindi data breach. So wala pong mawawalan data sa inyo. Walang mananakaw na accounts o walang mananakaw na pera. Ang DDoS ay parang traffic jam sa internet. Sabay-sabay na dumarating ang napakaraming request sa isang sistema o website. Kaya bumabagal ito at minsan naman nakikita nyo lang na parang naglo-load forever. So kung nanonood kayo ng Netflix at saka YouTube at nakita nyo na mabagal mag-load yung screen, isang example po yan ng DDoS. Ang mahalaga, hindi ito pagnanakaw ng impormasyon. Nadi-deny lang po yung paggamit ng digital asset. Temporary lang din po ito dahil nakahanda naman po yung gobyerno at saka yung mga critical infrastructure provider natin na labanan yung DDoS. Ang tinatawag po dyan yung mga anti-DDoS equipment. Meron po sila niyan. Now, kaugnay po nito, naka-activate na po ang ating Oplan Cyberdome. Ito ang interagency response system ng DICT kasama ang CICC, NTC, law enforcement agencies at private sector partners. Lahat po sila ay nakahandang nagtutulungan para sa 24/7 monitoring at agarang pagtugon sa anumang cyber incident. Kaya ang pakiusap namin sa publiko, manatili lang po tayong kalmado. Ito po ay isang paghahanda. Kung bumagal ang serbisyo, don't panic. Hintayin nyo lang po lumipas po yan. Ang balita ko po, nakipag-usap ako sa Cyber Bureau namin kanina, wala pa po kaming na-detect na apektuhan. May mga nagtatry na mag-increase ng traffic, pero may mga antay dito sa equipment po sila. So palipasin na lang po natin itong araw na to hanggang ngayong gabi at bukas po malamang normal na tayo. Ngayon naman po, dun sa mga kababayan po natin sa Visayas and Mindanao na naapektuhan ni Bagyong Tinyo, and sa tugon po naming lahat sa kabinete, sa utos po ng Presidente na lahat po kami mag-mobilize para tulungan yung mga kababayan natin. Ito naman po yung status ng ating connectivity. Simula po nung nagkaroon nung bagyo, nung nag-landfall, nakipag-ugnayan na po kami doon sa major telcos, dito, Globe at Smart. Ito po yung latest restoration stats nila. Ito po yung second day pa lang naman, and lahat po sila nagsusumikap na maging 100% na yan as fast as possible. Kung maalala nyo po, it took us about 10 days to restore Masbate. Nung nagkaroon ng problema sa Cebu, it took us about 5 days to restore it. Ang kagandahan naman po, after ng Cebu, na lang kami, 2 days nakakapag-restore na kami. So, aasa po tayo sa mga telco at sa kasama natin sa gobyerno na within the day po, yung progress po sa restoration, mas mabilis na po. At tingin ko po, yan na po yung update ko for this afternoon. Yusek Claire, I think I'll open it up po to question kung meron po silang katanungan.
First question, Katrina Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Sir, good morning. Sir, you earlier mentioned na may mga nagtatry na magpa-traffic ng several websites though they were not successful in doing so. Ano-ano po yung websites na sinubukang pasukin ng DDoS attacks?
Hindi na sa akin binigay yung detalye. Ang sa akin kasi, ang gusto kong malaman kung merong naapektuhan. So, nung nag-report sa akin yung Cyber Bureau, hindi ko na inisa-isa kung sino yung ina-attack. Kasi, kung titignan mo yan, halos lahat may attempt eh. Halos lahat may attempt. Pero luckily, so far, yung experience nyo naman, normal pa rin yung service.
Sir, at least sectors, banking or government or anong sectors po to?
Ang pinakamarami banking sector. Pero so far, yung mga bangko, wala pa naman nag-report na nagkaroon ng disruption in their operations.
Sir, last from my end, until kailan po activated yung Oplan Cyberdome?
Ay tuloy-tuloy po yan. It's a 7/24 operation center. At kung hindi man DDoS, ang binabantayan po niyan is financial scam, binabantayan rin yung mga issues sa OSAIC at saka yung mga online illegal gambling. So tuloy-tuloy po yan.
Okay. Next question, Chloe Hufana, Business World.
Sir, last September, sabi po ninyo may 4 na potential telco entrants because of the Konektadong Pinoy. Nadagdagan na po ba yun at sino-sino po itong mga entrants na ito?
Kung ang tanong nadagdagan, ang sagot, oo. Okay. Pero hindi ko muna sasabihin. Baka siguro mga 6 or 7 na. Bigyan ko lang kayo, yung IRR kasi, pinirmahan na kanina, it will be published today and give it mga 15 days, calendar days, before mag full effect siya. So may publication rule eh. So pag nag-submit na sila ng formal letter of intent or application, it will be publicized naman eh. So makikita nyo po yan doon sa website ng DICT.
And sabi nyo rin sir kanina na dadami ang investment sa telco industry with the signing of the IRR. Meron po bang figure how much investments are we expecting from this?
Siguro, ang normal na telco, ang nag-i-invest sila para pag nag-i-expand sila, taon-taon, umaabot sa mga, kung tama yung tansya ko, mga $1 billion to $1.5 billion US. Doon sa laki ng kailangan nating bunuin in terms of connectivity, from 30,000 cell sites, dapat maging 100,000 cell sites tayo. From 50% fiberized, dapat maging 100% fiberized tayo. Siguro it won't be lower than the benchmark in the past. So kung every year nag-invest sila ng mga 1 to 1.5 billion, I think that's the minimum that the investment should come. That's the minimum amount of the investment that should come in.
Thank you, sir.
Next question. Nel Maribohak, UNTV.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Sir, may long-term solution po ba yung DICT para mas mapalakas natin yung security natin against this kind of threats, yung DDoS, and given nag-evolve yung mga online threats natin?
Oo. So, kung long term, kanina, I also keynoted and started the convention nung CERT natin, yung Computer Emergency Response Team. Nandyan po sila sa Vertis ngayon. If you want to join, buong araw po yon. Yung long-term plan po natin is whole-of-nation approach. Hindi lang po government yan, pati private sector. Kaya yung long-term, magiging bansa tayo kung saan yung mga citizen mismo ang may capability to protect the whole country. Ang isa dyan is yung tinatawag natin na bug bounty. Bug bounty, yung mga hackers po natin na Pilipino na talagang magagaling naman, imbis na mag-hack sila at makakaperwisyo, pwede na sila ngayong tumulong sa gobyerno, sabihin kung saan yung mga illegal sites at kung ano yung mga improvements na kailangan gawin sa mga digital assets. Kakambal po niyan, yung tinatawag natin na safe harbor. Ang problema po kasi dun sa mga hackers po natin, ayaw nilang lumantad kasi baka mahuli sila. Yung safe harbor, maglalagay po tayo ng ethical hacking standards po. And sila ngayon, hindi kakaba-kabahan, basta ba yung ginagawa nila is to serve the country and to serve in the purpose of making sure that the country is safe from cyber attacks, hindi po sila huhulihin.
Sir, kailangan po ba ninyo ng bagong batas on that, sir?
Hindi na siguro, hanggang department order na siguro muna yan. In fact, last month, I already announced it in the biggest cyber community event in Pampanga, the RootCon. So yung sa RootCon, nakipagtulungan sila. So asahan nyo yung long-term plan natin. Alam nyo, kahit saan ka, pwede kang bumili ng equipment. Pag bumili ka ng equipment, marireverse engineer yung mga hacker na yan. Pero yung kultura ba, na tayo mismo ang nagdi-digital bayanihan para i-protect yung cyberspace, yon yung lasting solution po natin.
Next question, Eileen Taliping, Abante.
Sir, other topic.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi, sir. November 30, may malakihang rally. Sabi niyo noon, nung September 21, after September 21, meron kayong na-monitor na activities ng Anonymous Philippines. Ano nangyari doon sa investigation?
Ako, iwanan ko na sa police muna yon kasi I think it's an ongoing police pursuit. Ngayon, kung gusto niyo malaman kung ano yung nakikita namin sa chatter ngayon, so far tahimik. I think yung effort namin to reach out to anonymous.ph work. Nagsabi naman si Anonymous PH, di ba? They are disavowing any violence. And kasunod po niyan, yung mga kasama po rin nila, sinasabi nila, they don't want violence. So far, tahimik siya. Oo.
So wala kayong namomonitor na threat sa ngayon, sa online?
So far, wala. So far, it might change, pero so far, maayos naman. Tahimik tayo sa cyberspace.
Thank you, sir.
Next question, Christian Yusores, DZMM.
Sir, related po sa question ni Miss Eileen, may upcoming November 30 rally and last September 21 rally, you monitored na may several websites ng government agencies ang na-defaced, and how is the government preparing for this new round of protests na baka po mag-escalate or mas maging aggressive po yung mga hackers behind the attack last September 21?
Okay, so magandang tanong yan. So, dalawa. Una, yung mga government agencies, panay na ang cyber drill nila ngayon. Drill sila ng drill. And they've started plugging all the cybersecurity holes that they have. Kung may ipapatch sila, nagpapatch na sila. Kung may equipment sila na kailangan, dinideploy na nila. Yung second part, yung community kasi, regularly ako nakikipag-usap na sa kanila. And sila, nangako sa akin, so pumirma nga sila dun sa commitment wall. If you backtrack a month ago, meron doon commitment wall disavowing violence. And second, they will help the country in fending off cyber attacks. Ang cyber attacks kasi, nanggagaling sa dalawang anggulo yan. Local, ako medyo confident na ako doon sa local, okay na tayo. And yun nga, mga kababayan din naman natin yan. Yung sa external, yon doon sila magfo-focus, makipagtulungan sila sa atin na walang external na makapasok din. So far it's working.
I think we have last two questions. Sam Medinilla, Business Mirror.
Good afternoon, sir. Balik lang po ako dun sa IRR nung Konektadong Pinoy Bid. With the signing po nung, once na implement po yung IRR, gaano po yung savings in terms of sa oras, tsaka dun sa processing fees ng mga new entrants dito sa Pilipinas po?
Doon sa IRR, hindi pa nakaset yung actual fees. Pero ito yung ginagawa natin sa DICT. For example, yung tower companies, kasi makakatulong sa industriya yan. So, in-expand ni Pangulo yung license to operate nila from 5 years to 15 years, walang dagdag gasto sa kanila yan. Kasi gusto natin sila magnegosyo dito. Yung sa PIMEDES, tinanggal po namin yung fees doon sa PIMEDES kasi inisip namin yung makukolekta ng government doon sa fees, maliit na maliit yun doon sa economic impact ng mas maraming delivery riders, parcel messengerial providers, etc. So, ganyang polisiya rin po ang gagawin natin after Konektadong Pinoy. We will make sure na makakapasok sila ng maayos for as long as they will provide better prices and better service to every consumer sa internet po.
Bali, sir, dun sa pagdating dun sa epekto sa price ng internet services, may estimated ba tayo kung gaano bababa yung presyo pag once ma-implement yung IRR?
Okay. So, this year, pag kinumpera nyo yung gastusin, bumaba na. Hindi pa effective yung IRR dyan. Yung mga telcos pa lang na existing, sinagot na yung tugon ng Pangulo na ibaba natin yung presyo. Makikita nyo ngayon, mga less than 500, meron ka na unlimited text and phone. Tignan nyo po kung ano yung presyo noong mobile service at saka yung mga nabibili ng mga... Ang sukatan ko sa yung gumagamit ng mga riders natin kasi kailangan nila talaga ng internet eh. Pag kinumpira nyo yung binabayad nila noong 2024 at ngayon, pumaba na po ng medyo substantial yan. Less than 500, meron na siyang unlimited data and talk and text pa. Pag nagkaroon pa ng epekto yan, bababa pa lalo. Pero, ano ba naman yung mura service mo pero putol ng putol? Ang mangyayari ngayon yan, with the same amount, mas dadami yung data load mo at mas gaganda yung service mo. Yun naman po yung focus natin after the full implementation of the IRR.
Final question from Maris Umali, GMA7.
Hi, Maris.
Hi, Sec. Good morning. Good noon.
Good noon.
What is the worst possible case scenario that may happen in the distributed denial of service? And since binanggit niyo po na this is just like a traffic jam in the internet world, is it possible that they would still do that worst possible case scenario before the day ends?
Sa akin naman, worst possible scenario lang is pag na-deny yung service dun sa isang digital website or app, hindi mo lang magagamit. So, depende na. Kung halimbawa, nagmamadali kang magbayad ng grocery mo kasi hindi mo ma-access, yon, laking perwisyo yon, di ba? Pero yung makukunan ka ng data, hindi mangyayari yon. And so far naman ngayon, as of this time, most of the digital services naman are gumagana ng maayos.
So there's no possible loss in terms of in the economy when that happens for example, yung sa pagbagal ng serbisyo, magdudulot siya ng perwisyo.
So far wala naman kasi ang ibang mga tao, since we did the advance announcement, in advance nila yung pasweldo sa GCash or sa Maya. Yung iba naman, they did their digital transactions ahead of time. Yun naman ang kagandahan of an early advisory from the ICT. So walang magiging economic impact yan. At saka, kalahating araw na tayo, medyo okay pa rin tayo eh. Pagka mamayang gabi pa tumama yan, ang tatamaan na lang yan, yung mga nanonood sa inyo sa Netflix at saka sa YouTube.
Sir, one last. How are we battling the expected increase in commercial online scams naman since malapit na mag-Christmas?
Good question. Yan yung tinatawag namin na Oplan Paskong Sigurado. Alam nyo, konting kwento lang. Noong weekend po, na-meet ko yung idol natin lahat. At sinabi niya, Sek, eto na ang official start ng Christmas. Na-meet ko po si Jose Marie Chan. And since simula na ng Pasko, doon niya pinaalala sa akin, itong Pasko na to, marami na namang magkakaroon ng opportunity mag-scam. Inutos po ng Presidente. Ilang beses ko na siguro nabanggit sa inyo, inutos po ng Presidente sa akin at sa DICT, itong Pasko na to, walang Pilipinong may scam. So tuloy-tuloy po yan. At we're making sure we're working with BSP, with the banks, with the law enforcers. Matiwasay po dapat ang Pasko natin. So tuloy-tuloy lang po kayong mag-e-commerce, e-transaction. And siguro in relation to that na lang siguro, Yusek Claire, if I may mention also, gusto ko rin pong linawin tungkol sa mga ulat na umano'y data breach na inugnay kay GCash. Alam niyo, importante yan kasi pagdating ng Pasko, dyan nagagamit yung GCash for online payment eh. Agad po nating inatasan ang mahigpit na koordinasyon ng National Privacy Commission, ng Cyber Investigation and Coordination Center na makipag-ugnayan po kay GCash. Ang kagandahan naman po nito, nagpapasalamat kami kay GCash sa pakikipagtulungan sa amin at gusto rin naming pasalamatan ang NPC kasi government and private po na nag-coordinate po na mabilis yan. habang nagpapatuloy po na mag-verify kami doon sa mga reports kasi kailangan namin gawin, gusto lang po namin linawin. We concluded, hindi po fake news po yon. Parang may na-recycle na news in the past na lumutang na lang. And sinabi naman ng website mismo, it's unverified. So, out of abundance of prudence and caution, NPC thought of checking it out. And lumabas naman po, wala pong problema. So, wag po kayong kabahan. Kung anumang e-wallet ang ginagamit nyo ngayon, there's no reported data breach as of today.
That's the final question, Yusek?
Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much po, Secretary Henry Aguda.
Thank you, Yusek Claire.
At maaari na po akong tumanggap na inyong mga katanungan.
First question, Alvin Baltazar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Yusek, good afternoon po, Yusek. Yusek, sa pakikipag-ugnayan nyo sa DPWH, ilan ba yung nakuha nating data kung pag-uusapan na flood control projects sa Cebu and ano-ano yung mga status sila?
Sa ngayon po, meron po tayong initial data na nakuha mula sa DPWH website. Since 2016 to 2022, lumalabas po na 343 flood control projects ang nagawa. Dalawa po ang terminated dito. At ito na may makikita niyo po sa DPWH website. At sa panahon po ng 2023 to 2025, meron pong 168. At ang ongoing pa po ang 55. Pero kanina lamang po, bago po tayo sumalang po dito, ay mayroong pinadala po si Sec Vince ng latest data. At yun po ay mayroon pong mga flood control projects, hindi lamang po sa Cebu, kundi sa ibang mga rehiyon, at ipiprint lang po namin at ibibigay po sa inyo maya-maya po.
Yusek, follow-up lang. May schedule na po ba si Pangulong Marcos para pumunta ng Cebu?
Meron po siya. Pupunta po siya sa Cebu at ipagbibigay, alam ko na lang po sa inyo, ang pinaka-data at kailan ito gagawin. Pero pupunta po siya.
Salamat po, Yusek.
Next question, Bella Calyaso, Philippine Star.
Good afternoon, Yusek. Ma'am, yung post po ng Cebu Governor, sinabi niya na we're flooded to the max, and yet yun nga yung budget na supposed to be para sa flood control, umaabot ng 26 billion. Ano pong reaction ng Palace dito?
Yun din naman po. Yan po ang dahilan kung bakit po nagpapaimbestiga ang Pangulong Marcos Jr. Dahil nakita niya po yung epekto, may mga budget na inilaan para dito pero parang hindi gumagana. Kaya mas maganda po na kung siya man po ay nagagalit, yan din po ang nararamdaman ng Pangulong Marcos Jr. At kung meron po siya pang mga alam, may mga facts, may mga data rin po, si Governor para dito mas na makakatulong sa ating gobyerno para mapanagot ang dapat mapanagot, yan po ay welcome. At hindi lamang po sa panahon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ng mga flood control projects ang dapat malaman. Dahil lumalabas po kanina, yung initial data natin ay 343 flood control projects ang nagawa since 2016 to 2022 sa Cebu. Mula sa 1st District, 2nd District, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th hanggang sa city. So dapat din po itong makita dahil kung meron pong 343 flood control projects noon pa man, dapat po sana ay gumagana ito. So pagtulong-tulungan po natin mahanap ang dapat na papanagot sa mga maanumalyang flood control projects.
Follow up, ma'am. Ma'am, curious lang po ako. Kumusta po ang relationship ni President Marcos sa Cebu Governor, considering hindi po niya kaalyado, and considering nga na magiging madalas ang pagbisita ng Pangulo dahil nga dito sa nangyayari sunod-sunod na kalamidad sa Cebu?
Kahit naman po hindi kaalyado ng Pangulo, kahit anong kulay po niyan, ay Pangulo po ay handang tumulong kahit po kanino. Basta po kinakailangan ng tulong ng gobyerno, kahit ano po ang kanilang, saan sila kaalyado, tutulong ang Pangulo. Noong nakaraan lamang po, napabalita rin po na pumunta ang Pangulo sa Cebu, at siya naman po ay sinalubong ni Governor at nagpasalamat pa po si Governor ng Cebu dahil sa maagarang tulong na binigay ng Pangulo sa nasabing syudad or lungsod.
Sunod ko na rin po yung isang question ko, ma'am, yung regarding nga yun sa pahayag ni General Browner na may utos si President Marcos na tiyakin na makakapag defend ang armed forces without nga yung tulong ng ibang bansa. Sa present budget po ba ng AFP, considering nga hindi talaga kumpara sa ibang bansa na limitado yung budget for modernization, kaya po ba natin gawin yun?
Kung yan po ang sinabi ng Pangulo, dapat kayanin. So, ang pinakadetalye po nito ay si General Browner na lang po ang magbibigay sa inyo.
Oo, kasi ma'am, di ba, yung palang nangyayaring harassment sa West Philippine Sea, ang magagawa lang natin sa mga harassment ang ginagawa ng China ay makisimpatya sa ating Philippine Coast Guard and BFAR. So, ano ang ginagawa ngayon nga natin na para mapagtanggol natin yung sarili nating territory? Siguro naman po nakikita natin kung paano po kabukal ang ating Pangulo para ipagtanggol ang ating karapatan. Karapatan ng ating bansa, karapatan ng bawat Pilipino, karapatan ng mga mangingisda. Hindi po tayo nag-i-instigate, hindi po tayo nagpa-provoke ng war, pero lahat ay dinadaan sa diplomasya. Yan po ang magandang ginagawa ng Pangulo dahil hindi po natin gusto na masabak tayo sa giyera. Pero dapat lagi lang po tayong handa.
Next question, Christian Yusores, DZMM.
Good afternoon po, Yusek. Nakarating na po ba kay Pangulong Marcos yung malawakan pong waste spill sa Negros Oriental na dulot nung pag-collapse ng wastewater lagoon ng Universal Robino Corporation Bais Distillery? Some residents po are worried dahil apektado na po yung kanilang kabuhayan at nasisira na po yung yamang dagat sa lugar.
Opo, alam na po ito ng Pangulo kaya po kumilos agad ang DENR. At nagkaroon na po ng pakipag-usap sa Philippine Coast Guard at sa mga LGUs para po sa agarang pag-responde dito at pag-implement po ng containment measures. At nagkaroon na rin po ng pakipag-usap sa URC, Bais Distillery, at kinakailangan po nilang ayusin ito ng maagaran. At nagkaroon na rin po ng pag-uutos ng BFAR na sa mga kababayan na apektado, no, iwasan muna po ang pangisda, ang pagkolekta ng anumang mga aquatic organisms or seaweeds para po maiwasan po ang hindi magandang epekto nito sa kanilang kalusugan. At pinag-aaralan din po kung dapat nang sampahan ng kaso base po sa RA 11038.
Just follow up lang, ma'am. In an article po kasi nabanggit din ng mayor ng Bais City na this is not the first time na na-involve sa environment incident yung kumpanya. So is the government considering na magpataw po ng mabigat na parusa or penalty sa kumpanya given po yung bigat ng impact sa kabuhayan at environment?
Kapag ka po talagang mayroong nalabag na batas, hindi po mag-aatubili ang gobyerno na magsampa po ng kaso.
Next question, Ann Soberano, Bombo Radio.
Yusek, good afternoon. Isang malungkot po na balita, yung pagbagsak po ng isang Philippine Air Force chopper sa Agusan del Sur. May mga namatay po na crew. Ano po ba, may we know po kung alam na po ito ni Presidente at ano po yung naging direktiba niya sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, especially po sa Philippine Air Force?
Opo, alam na po ito ng Pangulo at kanina po ikinausap din po natin ang DND at ito po ang kanilang statement at aking babasahin. The Department of National Defense extends its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families of the 6 Philippine Air Force pilots and crew of the Super UA that crashed in Agusan del Sur on November 4, 2025. Their dedication to duty and sacrifice will always be remembered, especially as these were made in the service of our fellow Filipinos facing the effects of Typhoon Tino. We pray for their eternal peace and shall extend all available support to their families at this difficult time. Ayon din po sa Pangulo, pinapaabot niya ang kanyang pakikiramay sa pamilya ng mga nasawing mga bayani ng ating bansa at ang lahat ng tulong na nararapat ay dapat na iparating sa mga naapektuhan na pamilya.
Salamat, Yusek.
That is the final question, Yusek. Thank you.
Kasunod ng mga sakuna sa bansa, paalala ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at ng DBM sa ahensya ng pamahalaan, gawing simple ang pagdiriwang ng holiday season. Ilang araw bago magpasko, pinaaalalahanan ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. at ng Department of Budget and Management o DBM sa pangunguna ni Secretary Amena Pangandaman, ang lahat ng ahensya ng pamahalaan na gawing simple at makabuluhan ang Christmas at year-end celebrations. Bahagi ito ng pakiisa ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa taong bayan na nakakaranas ng maraming pagsubok dulot ng sunod-sunod na sakuna sa bansa, mula sa lindol na yumanig sa Visayas at Mindanao at sa mga bagyong tumama sa ilang bahagi ng bansa. Paalala sa mga kawani ng gobyerno, mahalaga ang pagdiriwang ng Pasko na may pag-aalala sa kapwa nating patuloy na bumabangon at nagsisimulang muli mula sa maraming kalamidad na tumama sa bansa. Ang mga hakbang na ito ay kasama sa isang inklusibo at may puso na bagong Pilipinas na tunay na mithiin ng Marcos administration. At bago po tayo magtapos, meron po tayo announcement. Lumagda kahapon, November 4, sa isang joint memorandum ang ilang kawani ng pamahalaan para sa implementasyon ng Seasonal Workers Program o SWP ng South Korea. Naglalayon itong pangalagaan ang kapakanan at masiguro ang ligtas at legal na deployment ng mga overseas Filipino workers o OFWs sa South Korea. Pinangunahan ni Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak ang pagpirma ng nasabing memorandum kasama ang ilang mga opisyal ng DFA, DOJ, DA, DILG at ang Bureau of Immigration. Sa ilalim nito, mayroong 47 seasonal workers ang nakatakdang umalis ng bansa patungong South Korea ngayon darating na November 20. Ang hakbang na ito ay naaayon sa hangarin ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na masiguro ang kaligtasan at kapakanan ng mga OFWs. At dito na po nagtatapos ang ating press briefing. Magandang araw para sa bagong Pilipinas.
Let's wander Tarlac and Bataan. In Capas, you'll find a 54-hectare memorial park, which used to be the site of a prison camp that incarcerated thousands. Today, it stands to honor the fallen. This marks the start of the 97-kilometer march that went on for 7 days. After the war, reparations were made, and this bell tower stands to symbolize the reconciliation between the two countries. At Mount Saman, you'll find the Shrine of Valor, the scene of the final stronghold, honoring the gallantry of Filipino and American soldiers. Walk the pages of history in historical Bataan and Tarlac. or go find another adventure.
Candon City is all geared up to attain inclusive growth by leveling up our economic activities to meet the demand of our growing population and to make headway in our desired goal of becoming a smart city. Our 7-kilometer bypass road, which we name Heroes Bypass Road, ease the traffic congestion along our business central district. But more importantly, it will become our economic driver as it is the home of major government-funded projects and the main extension of our commercial and business district. Thus, it will eventually become the new city center of Candon. Among the major government projects along our 4-lane bypass road is our 8,000 seating capacity Candon City Arena and Convention Center. This will open the opportunity to the city of Candon to host major national and even international sports events and conventions, exhibits, and conferences. We made it also as a multi-purpose center for the first and second floors will be the satellite offices of national government offices. With the combined events and government offices in the center, we expect throng of people to be in and out of the center, which, by the way, has a unique roofing to give an artistic scenery. To complement is a hotel currently being constructed beside it to cater to tourists and visitors who will attend the programs and activities in the center. Also adjacent to the sports complex is the new LTO branch that caters to our city and of course to our second district of Ilocos Sur. Another big ticket project is the construction of the Candon City Airport. The city government initiated the acquisition of lots for the said project. Under the General Appropriations Act for the year 2022, CAAP allocated the initial funding for the construction of a runway in the amount of 275 million. We will start as a community airport and we will upgrade as the need arises for more air transport for domestic and foreign tourists. I push for this project knowing fully well that an airport is an integral part of the development and growth of an area. Besides, it will also benefit nearby towns, provinces like Abra, Mountain Province, and Ifugao. It will be the shortest road in going to known tourist destinations like Sagada in Mountain Province and Banawe Rice Terraces in Ifugao, cutting the travel time to half as it will only take 3 to 4 hours to reach those tourist destinations from Candon City. Health is wealth, and with our experience with the current COVID-19 pandemic, the city government collaborated with Deputy Speaker Christine Singson and the Department of Health for the establishment of the Ilocos Sur Medical Center, located also along the bypass road, which will be one of the premier hospitals in the region, with initial 20 buildings being completed. We appreciated the hard work of Deputy Speaker Christine Singson, who pushed for it in the House of Representatives and eventually become a new law, Republic Act 11705. We hope to complete the necessary infrastructure and facilities and equipment operational by June next year for Candonians, and will have a huge economic impact because of the business and service opportunities as we expect new establishments and food businesses to sprout in the area. The hospital's ambition to reach level 3 by next year and will serve as a training center for medical courses interns. It will also augment the healthcare requirements of neighboring provinces from Region 1 and CAR. We have an annex project, which is the recently completed building of the City Candon Hospital, which it is a 5-story building with 2 elevators equipped with modern facilities and equipment.
We will also pursue our tourism development, and despite the pandemic, we took the opportunity to build and develop tourism destination areas. We plan and build in our 395 hectares ecotourism zone covering 4 eastern barangays. The ecotourism zone, declared as a tourist destination by law, Republic Act 11407, which I authored when I was in Congress. Our aim is to put up an environmental friendly park and tourism haven within the forest. To be more detailed, it has its own dairy farm consisting of animals like Holstein cows, buffalo with Italian, Indian breeds, and we also have dairy goats with an alpine breed, Saanen and Anglo-Nubian. We extract milk regularly that we use to sell to local foreign tourists visiting the eco park, as well as we give as a nutrition program of the city, we give our milk to our daycare centers. In general, the eco park and other developments in our ecotourism zone is our humble contribution in the preservation, conservation, regreening of our environment, including the preservation of wildlife. And most important, it is our intervention to address climate change in the world. The city government has regularly allotted funds for the planting of trees and bamboos inside the eco park. Meanwhile, on the western side of the city, particularly along our 8.5-kilometer coastal area, we continue to develop it as a tourist destination. In Barangay Darapida, we have already our Baywalk and Coastal Park that will soon house an aquarium for tourists and educational use for our children to learn more about aquatic species in
mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas sa paghatid ng mga pinakahuling kaganapan saan man sa Ilocanja at Cordillera. Higit 2 dekada ng pinagkakatiwalaan. Ito ang radyong pambalitaan ng Tiradpas Network. DZTP, Radyo Tiradpas.
At to yan, nagitikang ronan nga damag ititirat pas news. May isa nga barong ordinansa ti dordoron ni SPM Saragossa, Committee Chair ti Media Affairs para kalagiti media practitioners and organizations iti probinsya ti Ilocos Sur. Sakbay ti dayta nga detalya ti dagiti Paulo ti damag ititirat pas news.
Agmulmulay ti tabako ken mais na ipay titulong kanakwaray dyan arbakan.
Dagiti tulong maited kadagiti ayatan tayong farmers, particularly dagiti agmulmula iti tabako when Virginia and barley ken karaman meten dagiti agmulmula iti mais. So ti naitatatay abono na sabas-sabaling nga klase tapos dagiti bukel nga maimula ken dire-diretso detan no next week may tad-amin dagiti herbicide, insecticides.
Committee hearing inaig iti ordinansa dagiti media na isayangkat.
Ka-institutionalizing dagiti media practitioners dito'y probinsya tayo nga Ilocos Sur. Kaya tayo dito'y nga ordinansa is to give recognition and to all the accredited media practitioners tapno matlaeng magunod da dayjay kasapulan para kadakwada maited dagiti maited matlaeng dagiti programa nga rubeng laing para kanyada such as no kasapulan da ti protection amo ka doon dagiti issues ng may papan pata dagiti media practitioners tayo pasapot tayo na ibabada dagiti death threats kada dagiti concerns ket
Iduduprak ni bagyong Verbena ang DSWD agtalinayo na naka-high alert.
Sumagmamano nga LGUs ken regional offices ni DILG na ipakita iti kinalaing da iti panangaluko iti publiko nga makipaset iti government projects binigbig gobyerno.
So, to all 126 LGUs who have been hailed as exemplars, the 9 top overall performers, the 3 DILG ROs who have demonstrated strong collaboration, transparent processes, and proactive efforts, keep up the good work.
From the most trusted news center dito'y Amyanan, daytoy Itirag Fast News.
Naimbag nga oras kailian, siyak ni Jerry Gabaon katitay danon mi kada kayo dagiti detalye ti damag. Idawluan ni Bokal Payena Saragosa ti committee hearing ti ordinansa para kadagiti media practitioners nga naramid iti laeng nabiit.
May sa abarong ordinansa itidurduron ni SPM Saragosa Committee Chair iti Media Affairs para kadagiti media practitioners and organizations ti probinsya ti Ilocos Sur. Iti laing nabiit na aramid ito muna a committee hearing iti draft ordinance ngeni sponsoran ni Saragosa kadwana tinaduma-duma nga media organization ken concerned government agencies pakairamanan ti Philippine Agency DILG ken PNP. Iti panakiyuman kini Saragosa iti daytoy nga ordinansa ket iti panang bigbig ken panang bantay iti welfare dagiti media practitioners ken organization iti probinsya.
Institutionalizing dagiti media practitioners ditoy probinsya tayo nga Ilocos Sur. Kaya tayo daytoy nga ordinansa is to give recognition and to all the accredited media practitioners tapnumet laeng magunod da dayjay kasapulan para kadakwada maited met laeng dagiti programa nga rubeng laeng para kanyada such as no kasapulan da ti protection amok nga dumot dagiti issues nung may papan pa dagiti media practitioners tayo kas tatay na ibagada dagiti death threats kada dagiti concerns ket maybe this ordinance will be able to be a dangipon na tapno maprotektaran da ken dagiti kasapulan da nga benepisyo ket maited kadakwada. But really it is to maintain the relationship between PG and the provincial government and the media practitioners so that there will be a collaborative effort tapnumet laeng napaspaspas ti pinakay ited wenno pakay disseminate dagiti informasyon nga masapol da tapnumet laeng mapatibkerpay dagiti informasyon nga mabalindang ited para dagiti kaadwan.
Napag-usapan sa hearing ang mga concerns ng mga media men, gayon din ang pagbuo ng Ilocos Sur Media Affairs Council o ISMAC.
Dito nga ordinansa with the recognition of all these accredited media practitioners, we hope that maited mi datinan anay nga suporta, benepisyo, ken coordination tapnumet laeng maited tay met laeng DJ kusto nga kusto ken DJ napudno nga pinag-report dagiti para dagiti ka constituents tayo.
Napagpapatangan pa iti hearing dagiti concern dagiti media men kastamit ten iti panakabukel ti Ilocos Sur Media Affairs Council wenno ISMAC numan pay adu dagiti mataming iti nasaw nga draft ordinance ket manamnama nga maipasa iti daytoy iti kabiitan a tiempo. RG Gakusan, Tirad Fast News.
Kinarit ni Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Vince Dizon ni dating ako Bicol Representative Saldi Cu nga agawid iti pagilian ken sangwen na dagiti delegasyon may nagti-GOES ken substandards flood control. May nagiti daytoy ti panawagan ni Presidente Ferdinand Marcos Jr. para ti dating nga kongresista nga personal nga sungbatan na dagiti kaso kontra ken kuana. Kagidan ti daytoy nang ipila ti DPWH ti baro nga reklamo ti plunder, graft ken robbery wenno robber kontra ti sumagmamano nga mamanday linteg nga napakainaigan na kadagiti contractors. Karaman kadagiti na ipilaan ti kaso, dati nga Representative Saldico, Representative Edwin Garjola, Representative James Ang Jr., Representative Jerny Jet Nisay, Representative Agustina Pancho, Representative Joseph Lara, Representative Noel Rivera, ken Representative Francisco Matugas. Sigon iti Ombudsman, nagbalin nga napateg, unon napapateg, dagiti ebidensya nga naisubmiter ti DPWH ken ti ICI, tapno mapapartak ti panaggaraw ti investigasyon kontra kadagiti makuna nga contractors. Kabayatan na ti kape, uno kabayatan ti kapean sa Manila Bay. Impakamo ni DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian nga nangrugiti na nga to nga sustainability rating ti DSWD 2022 babaen ti administrasyon ni Presidente Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Ti report ni Alma Carlos.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development ket nakaka-record iti 99.5% as success rate kadagiti sub-project iti sidong iti programa iti Kalahi Community Driven Development iti Intiro a Pagilian. Dagiti kang runaan na contributor rating ket iti nasurok a 7,000 na proyekto iti kalsada, dandani 5,000 na daycare center, nasurok a 2,000 na flood control project ken dadumapay. Iti kapehan sa Manila Bay kinuna ni DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian anang rugian ang ato iti sustainability rating iti 2022 babaan iti administrasyon ni President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Kabayatan nga agtultuloy iti panang monitor iti programa kadagiti proyekto tapno masigurado iti napaot a benepisyo dagiti komunidad.
Na somewhere around 200 plus billion, parang 212 billion, thereabouts. Please check na lang.
Sir, linawin ko lang po, Lawrence Tanho ko po ulit, sir. Linawin ko lang, sir, yung 2.5 million food packs worth 10 million pesos. Magkano po ang halaga nun na ipamigay na?
Wala ako nasabing value. You can just check online kasi hindi ko, ako, whenever I look at it, number of individuals na natulungan more than the peso value.
Pero yung 2.5 million, sir, yun yung food packs, boxes po yun.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, regarding mo po, sir, sa Kalahi program ng DSWD, could you expound about it and kamusta na po yung program natin?
Kalahi is ending this year.
Kamusta na, sir?
Ano yung Kalahi?
Kalahi is community-driven development. Yan yung programa kung saan yung mga pinakaliblib na mga POO, mga 4th class, 5th class municipalities, they identify the program that they want, mga water system, wash facility, and then they procure it also, and they also manage and maintain it. It's community-driven development.
Malagip nga idikalman, inrugi pa iti DSWD, iti Time for Action Philippine Community Resilience Project, tapno maitandudo iti Climate Resilient Development, iti 5,000 ang munisipyo, ng runa kadagiti lugar nga adan iti nangato alibel iti kinapanglaw. Kabayatan na, parigtaan ti ahensya iti Kongreso, kin Senado amang suporta iti Community-Driven Development Bill, tapno institutionalize iti proseso dagiti programa iti gobyerno. Iti napalabas a 2 dekada, nasurok a 92,000 a sub-project, iti impatungpal iti Kalahi CIDSS, a nakatulong iti nasurok a 24 a milyon a Pilipino. Alma Carlos, Tirad Pass News.
Padaanan ti panagsubli ti Tirad Pass News, mannalon ti mais ken tabako ti ili tinarbakan na ipayan ti tulong sumagmanong LGUs ken regional offices ti DILG nga nangipakita ti kinalaingda iti pananganloko iti publiko nga makipaset ti government projects binigbig ti gobyerno. Dagita ken dumapay ti panagsubli ti Tirad Pass News.
Sel celebraran iti Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Senro Tagudin iti Land Management Service Month. Ket iyaw awis da iti panag-avail iti free residential ken agricultural patenting dagiti dagdaga. Ti RA 10023 wenno Residential Free Patent Act ket baro alinteg amang ipalubos iti panagproseso iti panakaititulo kadagiti lote a nagtakderan iti baba.
Itituloy dagiti damag tapnon adadapay nga matulungan dagiti mannalon tinarbakan Mayor Edna Sanidad ng rugin ti panangipaayda kadagiti kasapulan dagiti mannalon tinaduma-duma nga barangay ti ili. Ti report ni Dani Antalan.
May paay ti sibupukal suporta kadagiti mannalon. Diyan narbakan Ilocos Sur tapno dakkel ti production da ken ganansya ken makatulong met lang iti ili da. Kirna ni Mayor Edna Sanidad nang rugin ti panangipaayda kadagiti kasapulan nang runa dagiti mannalon iti naduma-duma a barangay.
Dagiti tulong maited kadagiti ayaten tayo nga farmers, particularly dagiti agmulmula iti tabako when Virginia and barley ken karaman meten dagiti agmulmula iti mais. So naitatatay abono nga sabasabali nga klase tapos dagijay bukel nga maimula ken diretso deta no next week maitad amin dagiti herbicide, insecticides ta kaskariti ili nga narbakan maitad ti fall support kadagiti amin nga agmulmula iti tabako ta amo tayo meten nga isuda ti maysa nga kadakilan nga mangmangted ti pondo ti Tunggal Ili ditoy Ilocos Sur. Partner Dani ken agyaman akunay ta dagiti dumadijay nagapo iti provincial government nga dadauluan ti ayaten tayo nga gobernador ni Apo Jerry Singson ken ti vice gob tayo ni Apo Ryan Singson.
Kirna ni Mayor Sanidad nga dalistaan da kadagiti agmulmula ti tabako, Virginia, barley, mais ken dumapay nga crops iti narbakan ket dagitoy iti maypayan ti ayuda.
When partner Dani dadamin listaan min dagiti tobacco farmers nga Virginia, damat listaan mi ti tobacco farmers nga barley ken dagiti amin nga agmulmula iti mais ken dagiti dumapay nga crops ditoy ili nga narbakan.
Nang rugin itay napalabas alawas agtultuloy nga idadawalwan mismo ni Mayor Edna ti panakaywaras kadagitoy. Agraman dagiti adday ti Municipal Agriculture Office ken dumapay masiknan nga opisina iti nasao a munisipyo. Daniel Talanti, Radpas News.
Sumagmamano nga LGUs ken regional offices ti DILG nga nangipakita ti kinalaingdat ti panangalukoy iti publiko nga makipaset ti government projects binigbig ti gobyerno. Ti detalye ni Ismael Brin.
Indulwan ni President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ti Subay Bayani Award 2025 wenno ti panangbigbig iti siyam nga LGU ken taalo nga regional offices ti DILG nga nangipakita ti kinalaingda nga mga lukoy iti publiko nga magipasat kadagiti programa ti gobyerno. Kastameten iti panangitan dududay iti implementasyon ti local infrastructure projects.
Quality remains our standard. A government worthy of its people does not settle for mediocrity, does not cut corners, does not waver.
Binigbig pa iti gobyerno tinagbalingambag ti DILG regional offices iti panang monitor kadagiti inisyatiba dagiti LGU.
Strive for excellence because that is what our citizens deserve and that is what our country deserves. So let us prove.
Ang LGU nga napadayawan ket manipud iti Mountain Province, Aklan, Zamboanga, Sibugay, Pasay City, Science City Moños, Victoria City, Victoria, Oriental Mindoro, Sumilao, Bukidnon ken Magpet, Cotabato. Kabayatan na titalo nga DILG regional offices nga nabigbig ket ti National Capital Region, Eastern Visayas ken Soc-Sergeant. Sigon ni President Marcos Jr., napatag ti papel digiti LGU ken DILG regional offices Tapnon masigurado nga mabantayan digiti proyekto ti gobyerno. Ti Supay Bayani Award 2025 ket naipasdik iti 2021 nga adaan panggep nga pabilgen ti local transparency, accountability, ken participatory decision making ti local government units.
So, to all 126 LGUs who have been hailed as exemplars, the 9 top overall performers, the 3 DILG-ROs who have demonstrated strong collaboration, transparent processes, and proactive efforts, keep up the good work.
Ismael Brintirad, PAS News.
DSWD agtalinaed nga naka-high alert tapno paingiten ti Disaster Response Command Center ti ahensya may nagitin sayang katda nga disaster operations. Ti report ni Ban Tabuyo.
Agtalinay ti high alert ti Department of Social Welfare and Development when DSWD gapoy ti duduprak ni bagyong Verbena kadagiti na dumaduma rehiyon ti Pagilian. Sigun ken DSWD Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao, napaingeten ti Disaster Response Command Center ti ahensya para kadagiti isayang katda disaster operation. Nakaiwaras na pa yan ti food packs, hygiene kits, ken ready-to-eat food boxes. Kasungbat kadagiti kasapulan ti apektado a local government units wenno LGUs. J. Bacolod City, Negros Islands. Nakaitulod ti ahensya ti 10,000 na family food packs, 250 a hygiene kits, ken 150 a kitchen kits. Tinulungan pa iti DSWD Caraga Field Office. Dagiti na isang lada pasahero ti nasipit port sa Agusan del Norte. Ken naipaay ken kuwada ti ready-to-eat foods. Naipaay-paay kadagiti 100 na pasahero na stranded sa Bredco Port, Bacolod City ti ready-to-eat foods. Kastamit ti 592 ang individual na pasahero iti naipaayan ti ready-to-eat foods sa JPO Duran Port, Bicol. Sigun kadagiti kaudyanan na report na apektaran ti bagyong Verbena ti Region 5, Region 6, Region 7, Region 8, Negros Islands, Calabarzon, ken Caraga. Van Tabuyo ti Red Pass News.
Dakitan ti nakabuklan ti damag ti Tirad Pass News, tinagan ti sububukel nga puwersa ti Tirad Pass Network, siyak ni Jerry Gabaw na imbag nga oras kailian.
Services closer to the people. And so for the last week or so, the Lab for All team went to different municipalities. They went to the municipality of Quirino, municipality of Cervantes, the municipality of Santa Cruz. There were over 3,500 patients that received medical services. Dapat dito sa Candon, pero sabi ng Mary yung sa iba na lang kasi set na daw sila sa Candon. Libreng laboratorio, libreng konsultasyon, at libreng gamot para sa lahat.
Maysa kami nga napili. Dakal unay nga tulong daytoy, ta libre amin, ang laboratory, X-ray and everything, pati dental, and of course, the agas.
Nasayat med sir ta natulungan da kami nga marigrigat adumot tin na iparanod na kanyame.
Very grateful kami iti opisina ni Congresswoman Christine iti panakay-prioritize ti Quirino. And grateful kami mutlang iti opisina ni First Lady Liza Marcos. Siyempre, siguro amuda nga mas kailangan mi dito ngamin iso nga inpaigda dito yan. Considering dayjay ni biyahe ngamin. Iso nga, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sa inyo, pangangalagang pangkalusugan.
also to, especially for the Love for All program, spearheaded by our First Lady of the Republic of the Philippines, Luis Araneta Marcos. We thank her na she chose Candon for, and of course, yung Love for All program natin, it started last Thursday, and we thank them na yung medical services at least napadala ulit through the Love for All program.
Una inyag ito ni First Lady dato Love for All. Kat makita tayo mati kaaduti tattao nga may parati dato yung programa na medical mission kan adu pa kita other agencies, national agencies nga may makipagtulong pa kiti programa da.
Amo tayo met nga dati nga programa na apo ket adu iti matultulukan na ket naswerte tayo ta ditoy met probinsya ting Ilocos nang ron na ditoy syudad ti Candon ti napili da nga aramidan ditoy Love for All. So adumanen iti kaprobinsyan tayo nga matulungan no panggep ti kitoy nga serbisyo iti gobyerno.
What began as a dream to create a stage of great music and great moments has now become a cherished tradition.
Kung pwede lang, kung kaya lang, kung akin ang mundo.
Agayaman ti amin nga nangkad kadwa. Tinamoy di biyang tapno ti kastada ito nga October 1st tayo ket agbarin successful celebration again for our city of Candon.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po. Good night.
po si Jane Vallejo and I'm graduate of Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, and first and foremost, gusto ko pong magpasalamat kay Ma'am Congressman Deputy Christine Singson kasi kung wala po siya, hindi po magiging possible na mukha po namin yung mga allowance namin na parang ganito. We're so privileged po na matanggap namin yung mga ganito. Kasi yung ibang students po, hindi po sila nakakuha ng ganitong kalaki na every semester nakakuha. Yung iba po kasi 5,000 one time lang po yung nila, financial assistance. Tapos kami po, every semester we're so lucky po.
Bigat isumuti pangalam anti dagiti scholars, so year in year out malaala da dati allowance nga gaputi CHED because they were granted a scholarship. So congratulations to these 66 students nga amok nga to get a CHED scholarship, because they're like one of the top students dito yung district tayo for them to get the Tulong Dunong, to be part of Tulong Dunong program of CHED. So congratulations man kada kayo.
Mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas sa paghatid ng mga pinakahuling kaganapan saan man sa Ilocania at Cordillera. Higit 2 dekada ng pinagkakatiwalaan. Ito ang radyong pambalitaan ng Tiradpas Network. DZTP, Radyo Tiradpas.
Kabida Pips, we're here in San Esteban, Ilocos Sur, ang place na blessed ng magandang scenery. Malalaking grotto, pang my day na beach at ang legendary watchtower. Ito ang Little Palawan of the North. But, alam nyo ba na sa beautiful place na to, matatagpuan ang perfect resto kung ang cravings nyo ay seafoods, Pinoy favorite. Tara na, samahan nyo kami at ating alamin ang emerging na resto sa ating San Esteban episode ng Bida Ka Food Trip.
O nga naman, sikat ang bayan ng San Esteban, Ilocos Sur dahil sa magagandang tourist sites. At isa na rito ang Moro Watchtower. O ang tawag dito ay Bateria. Ito lang naman ang isa sa mga buo at preserved na itsura ng Watchtower. Pwede kang umakyat sa taas at makikita mo overlooking ang Instagrammable na scenery ng lugar na ito. Habang ito naman ang isa sa mga nakaka-amaze na grotto ng Ilocos Sur. Mounted sa isang malaking tipak ng bato na parang lumulutang sa tubig dagat. Ang bato ay sinasabi ring bulalakaw na galing kalawakan na bumagsak sa lugar na ito. At isa pang pinagmamalaki ng San Esteban ay ito, ang kanilang fish sanctuary. Sa kanilang mga coral reef sa tabing dagat, nagiging paramihan ito ng mga isda. Nakakawiling panoorin ang kanilang paglangoy. Ngunit alam niyo ba na may isa pang rason kung bakit kailangan mong pumunta dito sa bayang ito? Dahil dito lang naman matatagpuan ang emerging seafood resto ng Ilocos Sur, ang Ola Bateria Seafood Dampa. Matatagpuan sa Barangay Bateria sa tabing dagat mismo ito. Kaya habang kumakain ka, ini-enjoy mo rin ang magandang kalikasan. Tingnan nyo naman ang place, napakaganda ng kanyang location. Nasa tabing dagat, na may fresh air, at ang aesthetic ng place, wow, nakakabilib. Ngunit, of course, huwag nating kalimutan ang kanilang main event, ang kanilang best seller na Mixed Seafood Fiesta at Kare-Kare a la Bateria. May special side dish ang mga yan. At ang kanilang mga bucket na serving, wow! Sa ating pagbabalik, titingnan natin kung paano nila ipiniprepare ang kanilang mga dishes dito sa Bidaka Food Tree. Sa Bidaka Ilocano, pwede na ninyong mapanood ang ating mga nagdaang episode dito sa Facebook page. Punta lang kayo dito sa Bidaka Ilocano, search nyo yan at makikita na ninyo ang mga nagdaan naming mga episode, yung mga kakaibang kwento, magagandang kwento, minsan nakaka-relate sa atin, o kung minsan ini-idolo natin, o kaya yung mga kinakain natin na parang bago o kaya dati na sa atin. Nandito lahat yan sa Bidaka Ilocano Facebook page. So tara na, search na yan at i-like na! Of course, siya si Isaiah Rosella, ang manager ng Ola Bateria Seafood Dampa. At dadalhin muna niya tayo sa kanilang kitchen. Nandun yata si Julieta.
Okay guys, nandito tayo ngayon sa kusina ng Ola Bateria at kasama natin ngayon si Sir Isaiah at Sir James. Sir, ano po ang lulutuin ninyo for today?
For today, we will cook magluluto tayo for today is yung bestseller po natin na mixed seafood. This is flavored ng Ola Bateria Special. Then, the next one na lulutuin natin ulit tayo mixed seafood kare-kare, bagnet, tsaka roasted beef. Then, pwede natin i-start na tayo sa mixed seafoods. Bale, yung lalagay natin sa mixed seafood natin, bucket. Bale, yung lalagay po natin is lobster, shrimp, mussels, tsaka squid. Then, ito yung magiging flavor natin, which is the Ola Bateria Special.
Ola Bateria Special.
Bale, first off, i-blanch na lang natin yung mga seafood. Itong may stock tayo, may seafood stock tayo na ginagamit. Dito po namin binablanch, dito namin binablanch yung mga seafoods. Para hindi lang siya mawawala yung maluluto, tsaka may lasa rin. Pag blanch natin, may lasa na rin yung seafoods. All the way lang, ang ginagawa namin is blanch lang yung mga seafoods.
So, dapat mauna po yung shrimp, sir?
Pwede naman kahit ano sa kanila mas mauna. Pero, mas prefer ko kasi na parang inuuna yung shrimp. Kasi pag nagluto tayo ng shrimp, then lobster, mas lumalabas ulit yung lasa na. Pag niluto natin yung clams and squid, mas malasa na ulit yung pagka-stock na pagkaluto.
Ilang minutes din po kayo pinaprepare yun?
Itong food na to, piniprepare namin siya for 5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes.
seafoods natin, we have locally naman na, pero some of the, nung nangyari sa weather before, ang nangyari na lang dito is parang sa dagupan or mostly sa Candon. Yung mga ship natin sa Candon, yung mga farms kasi sa Candon for ships and mussels mostly local markets. Same as squids, lobster lang talaga. Kasi madalang ang lobster sa Ilocos sa South now. Then since naman pwede rin naman ay sabay natin yung squid. Even though may basket naman tayo. Same as yung branching lang din naman lang.
Usually po kayong dalawa lang ni Sir James yung nagluluto dito sa
Yes, bali si James kasi ang may isang senior sa kitchen as of now, then ako yung nagiging head chef and then at the same time manager na. Pero in my absence, si James ang pero may mga understaff naman kami na to guide us na magluto. Kasi pag medyo tumao, mahirap naman tayo dito ng pag-iisa. No? Kaya we hired 5 staff per kitchen. Yung iba pa sa amin naman. Parang sa akin kasi ang advantage kasi parang mas na-maintain mo kasi mostly pag restaurant naman kasi in my experience parang mas gusto ko lang talaga na yung hawak mo na yung resto, mas nakokontrol mo rin yung stocks even though ikaw ang head ng kitchen din manager, mas nakokontrol din kasi natin. May mga tendencies kasi na parang mas iba yung discard ni manager, iba yung discard ni head chef. May mga ganung scenario kasi pero parang hindi naman na kailangan ng ganun, pero at the same time, baka pagdating ng baka mag-hire rin ako ng manager or i-hire ko si James as higher positions pa or magdagdag na lang kami ng other staff ng kitchen. Last naman ng seafood natin fresh, parang mostly daily kami bumibili. Parang may mga slogan din kasi kami na from sea to table. Yung parang ang gusto mong iparating sa tao na yung stocks namin or yung mga seafoods namin is from sea of the same day, sinaserve na yung the whole day natin. Para after coming days, magkaiba na yung mga nilalabas. Parang at least mas fresh na yung nilalabas natin. Then mostly rin naman yung mga demands ng mga tao ngayon. Fresh ba yan? Since na-blanch na natin yung mga seafoods, next na lang, isi-season natin siya sa flavors niya, which is the olive butter. Ang olive butter special namin is from parang nakuha namin sa Kotok ng San Esteban. Which is ang Kotok ng San Esteban na suklaw is sampalok. May mga sampalok balls, then any manok pwedeng gawin from sampalok. Kaya si olive butter yan, nag-isip kami ng recipe na parang maibabagay siya sa Kotok ng San Esteban. This is our olive butter specialist sa tamarind mix, sampalok mix siya. Bali, ganito mangyayari. Ditotos na lang ni James yung mga seafoods using the wok para may malagyan siya ng flavors yung mga seafoods natin. The first of lalagyan natin siya ng butter. Then, ilagay lang natin ito. pan-serving, parang binubuhos namin sa in front of this. Tapos ikaw, top with the rice.
Ganun po ba yung ginagawa talaga o concept niyo po yung ganun sa?
Ang concept kasi na naisip din namin through this is parang, ang nakasanayan kasi natin sa Ilocos or provincia is budel is parang nakalata siya sa mesa na may dahon ng saging. Dito, all about area is parang naisip namin, yes lang ba siya, pero nakaisip kami na parang mas maganda na ibagay gawin na lang natin na kuha tayo ng dampay style through Western cuisine. Para hindi siya nung parang nakasanayan natin na budel, latag-latag ganito. Parang kumuha rin kami from budel of Ilocos or normal na budel ng probinsya natin. Then kuha rin tayo ng extra na parang iba, nakakaiba from Western cuisine. This was served, yung 3 kilos sinaserve namin siya with rice, same with size. Same din sa mga mas maliit na portions, at least 1 kilos, sinaserve namin siya with rice and size. May 4 choices of size for 1 kilos and 8 choices of size for 3 kilos.
Teka ha? Story time muna tayo kay Sir Isaiah. Bakit nga ba Ola Bateria Idol?
Okay, Sir Pong, tell us something about Ola Bateria.
Sir, first of all, ang gusto kong masabi regarding sa Ola Bateria is ganito. Ang Ola Bateria is parang nakuha namin siya sa nakakuha kami ng concept from Western.
Okay.
Nag-start, parang naisip kasi namin na since ang Ola Bateria is new sa ating lahat, ang nagawa, even though ganun naman mga gusto mga parang bago sa lahat, ang naisip namin na gawin is from yung nakasanayan natin na budel or pagkain natin mga seafoods like yung nakasanayan natin na buffet or budel, may mga nakasanayan. Even though naman, ang ginawa namin na concept is gumawa lang kami ng concept through Western, tas hinalo din namin yung mga nakasanayan natin.
Okay.
Yung nagiging concept.
Yung Ola mismo, di ba? Means,
hi,
hello. Yung Ola. Hindi naman siya, di ba? Hindi siya Hawaiian.
Hindi naman siya. Pero pwede rin may mga mostly halos-halo na lahat para mga palagkakiwalan yung concept.
Yung location niya, yung venue, dito mismo sa Kalindagan. Di ba?
Nakakaiwa sa some of ng mga restaurant na Tampa na may gumalayo sa dagat.
Okay.
Even yung mga interiors namin, parang kinuha lang din namin. Parang ito, parang naisip parang lambat.
Okay. And yung one niya, yung tawag dito, yung style ng restaurant mo, paano to? Naging ganito yung one?
Ang naging ganito siya, parang naisip natin sa kaming dagat, ang singko, hindi masyadong nagkagaling yung mga gamit. Kaya naisip namin kung mga aesthetic na lang, simple, modernize, ito mga kahoy,
diba?
Kasi sa mga part naman, syempre, even na yan, pag kaming dagat, medyo pag nag-train tayo ng mga bakal, baka umimagtan. Pero mas simple lang din kasi, parang gusto namin simple na medyo
may dating, di ba? Oo, simple nga, pero malakas yung dating. Okay. Kailan siya nagsimula actually?
Actually, nag-start kami mag-open to public noong August 12. Pero cutting the ribbon ng August 10.
Kailan siya lang, di ba?
Last month.
And parang mag-siya ngayon, kumukuha na siya ng attention sa tao.
It's getting attention sa mga near towns, some of them may mga tumatawag din sa akin pamukhan yun na for reservations to upcoming long weekend sa November or December marami na rin.
Yung baterya mismo, baterya, di ba?
Yung marami talaga na baterya.
Kung ba ito? Parang kasi yung sa Esteban, alam naman natin na
franchise sa mga tourist destination dito sa Ilocos. So, yung concept ba talaga nito, parang pakita rin yung mga scenery, yung mga magagandang panahon dito sa San Esteban?
Nakadagdag na rin yung All Abateria ng tulong sa tourism ng San Esteban. Since ang All Abateria is near beside the Fish Sanctuary. Then, meron na rin tayo sa, we have also the scenic view, or sunset. Pag namutan natin yung sunset ng hapon, kasama ng mga experience talaga nabibigay niyo All Abateria. Laking talagang tulong.
Yung Watchtower, di ba? Yung Watchtower.
Grotto. Nadadaanan na. From Watchtower na, diretso na to Sanctuary, diretso na rin tayo sa landing site. Parang pwedeng one-stop ng tourism talaga ng San Esteban. Ipapasyalan ka na, may kakainin ka pa.
Yung daan kasi dito, di ba? Hindi naman talaga yung national highway to. Parang coastal road talaga to para makita mo yung magandang beach, di ba? Dito sa San Esteban. And then, eto, makikita nila All Abateria. So, ito yung okay lang. Sino may-ari? Paano nagkaroon siya ng idea?
Ang may-ari nito is si Ma'am Elsa Baldo from Hawaii.
Okay.
Parang sila kasi is mga mahilig. Silang mag-asawa kasi mahilig sila magluto from their home.
Okay.
Then parang naisip nila na nag-ask sila kung sino mo magbukas ng restaurant or anong concept. Then sinuggest namin kung mga ganitong concept. Then pumayag naman, nagustuhan naman. Nung opening nag-visit ka, pero after 1 week after opening, siya nag-Hawaii na.
Okay, so parang kumbaga pag pupunta siya dito gusto rin. Yung photo parang Hawaiian.
Baka nadagdag na
yun yung ganun. Okay, so ganda nga dito. May mga kwan na ba? Ano yung target natin na mga customers dito?
Gusto naman yung target natin customers, hindi naman sa may target. Yung gusto ni Ola kasi is, yung cost kasi pag tinitignan mo, medyo cost siya, medyo mahal. Pero kapag nakita mo naman yung serving, is sulit ka naman yun. Yung taon tayo, mga mostly talaga sa akin natatakot ko, mahal. Kasi nakita natin, 3 digits, 4 digits yung pero pag na-serve mo naman sa'yo, yung sulit talaga. Ito mostly target kasi namin, mostly para may makatulong sa tourism ng system. Nearby towns talaga.
Okay. Ano ba siya? Pang-lunch lang ba or pang-dinner?
As of now, ang menu namin is good for lunch and dinner.
Okay.
We're serving beers and meron mga ganun. Then, time will come by na magkakaroon na rin tayo ng merienda for like sandwiches and mga
Okay. So, usual pero nag-i-start siya. Nag-open siya.
Ang opening hour namin is around 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Ang part 2 ng ating kwentuhan, lutuan at tikiman bukas dito sa Bida Ka Food Trip.
Ti tsunami ket saan anormal a panagdakkel ti daluyon iti kabay bayan. Gapo iti napigsa agen ginet iti ansad iti baybay. Dagiti daluyon ket mabalin a nangatupay hanggang iti 5 a metro. Amuan no adda dagiti piggad nga senyales ti daluyon iti kabay bayan. Amuan ti lugar a pagbakwitan ken ti kadarasan ken katalgedan adalan a pakadanunan daytoy. Makipaset kadagiti panagsanay ken panagsagana dagiti komunidad para iti idadateng ti layos. Agmula ti bakawan ken dagiti rumbeng nga kaykayo nga mangtengel ti daga nga mangriggaay iti igid ti baybay. Isagana ti gobag ang nakargaan kadagiti kasapulan ti sanga pamilya. Marikna tinapigsa agen gened. Alisto wenno napaspas a panagbaba wenno pagnato ti danom ti kabaybayan. na ariwawa wenno dumana rodor nga uni akasla sumangbay ti tsunami. Saan nga talinaed, itiigid ti baybay kalpasan ti kengkened. Mapanadagos itinangato a lugar. Saan amapan itiigid ti baybay tapno buyaen wenno alaan tiladawan iti tsunami. Panawan tinagbakwitan no natalgeden iti lugar babaen ti pakaammo dagiti otoridad. Umadayo iti kabaybayan aging gana awan iti pakaammo manipod kadagiti maseknan ang natalgeden ti sitwasyon. Amwen no adda mapukpukaw a kabagyan ammo wenno kabarangayan ken i-report adagos kadagiti otoridad. Ipan iti kasikgan nga ospital dagiti nasugatan ken dagiti adda rekreknaen na. Siguraduen nga awan tinabasa wenno nakababad nga outlet wenno alikamen sakbay alokatan ti linya ti kuryente. Kitaen analaeng ti pagtaengan wenno balay no adda dagiti nadadael a paset na kenno kasapulan a masimpa dagitoy.
Kapag lumapit o sumabit ng kawayan ninyo sa linya, maaari po kayong makuryente. Dahil sa lakas ng kuryenteng dumadaloy sa linyang ito, ang paglapit at pagdikit ng anumang bagay na hawak ng tao tulad ng bakal, kahoy o kawayan ay maaaring maging sanhi ng aksidente o pagkamatay. Ang paalalang ito ay mula po sa NGCP.
Yaman ako na iti kadayo amin tatang abigat. Ta isayangkat tayo daytoy panang pasayaat tayo. Iti programa tayo ti agrikultura ditoy syudad tayo nga kandon. Daytoy Farmers Congress apo. Insayangkat tayo tapno iti kasta intayo papigsaen daytoy nga sektor tayo. Hang kami apo nga agpaudi nga mang suportar kada kayo. Iso nga adda daytoy aramiden tayo nga Farmers Congress.
Joe Standerman, Choco Mocho, Pedro Blas. I'd like to welcome you all in London City. Thank you to the President, Ricky Palum, for allowing us to host the PDL in London City. My warmest greetings to all the teams who are here this afternoon. Welcome to London City.
So dahito iti panang commence panang rugi ti panaka-construct na. So so nga dadatoy groundbreaking ceremony na naramid kahit nasa awan nga full blast ti implementation datoy panakabangon ti community airport ti Candon City.
Una pong activity natin, embankment, para yung kalsada, pumantay po tayo doon sa kalsada natin. And yung finished product po kasi natin, we have to be even higher than the road elevation.
Maragsakan na datoy tata, makakadwak dagito yung tutubo na datoy tata. So, doon nga grupo ti datoy tata, one are the scholarship grantees of the CHED's Smart Scholarship Program. Kat